many reasons as we could. We gave you clips from my interview with Coach Ludd, my interview with now star running back Mekhi Bernard. We did our best to give you reasons why Isaac Wilson had a ton of hype in the offseason going into the year, and that he's got experience, that he showed flashes of what he can be. So now it's time to turn the page, all right? And this is what I don't doubt the Utah fan base. And I know I have seen it live and in person and from the field. And believe me, I soaked it all in. So I know you guys are going to come and show up and show out. There's not going to be anybody feeling sorry for themselves. There's not going to be anybody down in the mouth, depressed, sad, none of that. Next man up, and let's go. It's time to take on TCU. And let's see what they got. This is a big game. I didn't necessarily like the phrase that Utah needs help. I know probably technically they do, but the road to what the goal was going in, and I just heard a clip right before the show as I was getting ready of OC saying, you know, Utah's the favorites. They came into the season as the favorites. I don't know if you guys want to update that or not, but I heard that. But, I mean, look, that was the mentality going into the season. And, you know, when James and I joked about, you know, asterisks of concern, fractions of concern, and one of those was OSU. And you didn't lose to them. Now, both OC and James had a bigger fraction of concern when it came to Arizona. I did not. They lost that game, obviously. And then the Arizona State game from last week, I hate to just chalk it up to Cam Rising, but I honestly think that Isaac Wilson at 100% would have been better than whatever percentage that we got out of Cam that day. As we talked about ad nauseum, the red zone woes, 7 trips into the Arizona State 30 and only 1 touchdown. You can't tell me that those results wouldn't have been different if Isaac was in there. But Isaac is in there now. And you know what? Salute to Cam for trying to fight through it and play through it. That was obviously not hard. But that quarterback that you saw on the field is not the quarterback that we've grown to love over the years. But that's not going to be an issue come mañana with these horned frogs. What is a horned frog anyway? I should have Googled that before the show started.
Like horny toads.
Yeah, but aren't they all? Couldn't you just say frogs? Like, why do you need to add the horn, I guess?
Well, it's a specific type of frog.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, I don't like them. Whatever they are. I don't think I've ever come across one.
Yeah, maybe they're thinking that the horns make it look like there's a crown on the head, so it's like a king. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I don't like them. And aren't there some poisonous frogs out there too, James?
Oh yeah, there's poisonous frogs, just like there's poisonous snakes and non-poisonous snakes for sure.
Yeah. So either way, you know, specifically this week, not really a frog guy. I did like that book when I was a kid.
Sorry to interrupt. Have you seen their? They have their own like hand signal, like just about every school in the country now. Have you seen the horned frogs? Hand signal?
No, I have not.
It's it's their index and middle finger, like bent over. So not the peace sign, but bent to look like a horned frog, sort of.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you got hook'em horns and horned frog in Texas.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we don't see a lot of that come mañana, and hopefully we send those.
Should Utes fans do the horn down?
It's already down. If you're telling me that they're bent over.
Horned frog down, maybe.
I know, but isn't it already bent?
Your hands up, just the fingers are bent. So it's like you have.
Oh, so you're saying just turn your hand upside down?
Yeah, just turn the hand upside down with horns down, but horned frog down. Should Utes fans be doing that at Rice Eccles tomorrow? Let's go.
I guess so. Well, what's funny is they made an announcement that like you're allowed to do the hook 'em horns down.
Yeah.
I guess it got like banned at one point or something.
Yeah, Big 12 was
okay.
fining schools. The Big 12 was fining schools for, if I'm not mistaken, for doing horn down. And SEC, Greg Sankey said, yeah, we're not going to discipline schools and fans for putting their hand upside down.
So ridiculous.
It really
Anyways.
Is. My favorite. Well, while we're just on this subject real quick, my favorite is what I've been seeing is the U down for Utah. And I'm just like, they're flashing the N. Like it's the U down is just an N, people. Like it's not. I don't understand why U down needs to be. It needs to be an anti-Utah thing. Why is everything got to be down? It started with horns down. Anyway.
Well, that's the beauty of college football. You get crazy, zany stuff like that every week. Whether it's real live mascots, I always love that when they have the actual bulldog or the.
Speaking of Texas and
Bevo down in Auburn, yeah. So, anyways, I was gonna say I do like the childhood book, The Frog and the Toad.
Yes,
but other than that,
how can you not?
Other than that, it was a fantastic book. It's one of the books that stood out for me as a kid, but. That's not here nor there. That's a book. We're talking about football players, and we're talking about a team that's coming and trying to end your season. Because as much positivity and optimism that I'm trying to have, it's going to get harder and harder the more that you lose. And I heard another clip leading into the show after DP was done, other than the promo of OC feeling really good. It was clearly a preseason clip of a show that he did. But I also heard Coach Witt talking about running the table. It's basically kind of where we're at, depending on how big your expectations are. So I just want to give a little bit of the history of this. They haven't played many times, but I looked it up, and so I got some fun stuff on that. But as always, we are a poll-oriented show. We like the listeners to participate. And so you can go on Twitter. I'm at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. And then the station's handle is at ESPN 700. You can also text in on the Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. You can also call in or text in on the Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. So what we have up there today, essentially what we're trying to do is start to build some momentum. We've got to put those games over the past couple of weeks against Arizona. Never thought I'd hate Arizona. I am a Suns fan, but that's basketball. But, man, let's just forget about Arizona. Let's just hope that this season is just that, we had a little speed bump with Arizona, but outside of that, we were good to go. And so what we're trying to do is look forward. And so we're going to look forward, and we're going to look forward positively, which means we're going to be thinking about the Big 12 championship game, which was the goal going into the season, which is what pundits had the Utes as the favorites to not only win, but certainly be in the game. So if they do get to that game, who do you look at right now and say that'll be who they face? Because a lot of that, whether it's, and I don't like to talk about this, I don't like to talk about needing help. I'd like to be in a position where the Utes control their own destiny. They're not counting on other teams to falter.
Well, you're generally a very independent person, so that makes sense, right? You're just like I don't need anybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll take help if you're going to offer, but I don't necessarily need it, okay?
Yeah. So, I don't like the idea, and obviously we had a BYU quarterback on yesterday who, again, was very civil. So I'm not trying to throw any shade. I'm doing this tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, shout out to Riley Nelson, one of our favorites.
Yeah. Riley Nelson, obviously you could tell that guy's been in the business before. He was a great interview. I'm not throwing shade at all. But I didn't like his choice. First of all, I didn't like his retweet on nobody beats up our little brother at home and gets away with it.
He was right, though. That's good. That's good rivalry
banter. I know. It's not mean. Yeah. It's not mean. It's clever. Yeah. You tip the cap. I still didn't like it. But what I also didn't like, James, was his choice of words of, well, yeah, now BYU controls their own destiny and Utah needs some help. It's like, okay, I'm not saying that's not true, But I'm also saying, as you look at the schedule, that Utah has a game against BYU. Utah has a game against Iowa State. So, yes, they're going to need some help, but they can also be their own help.
Yeah,
you don't need to worry about other teams. I don't want to be scoreboard watching. I just want to worry about what the Utes have in front of them. And right now, that's TCU.
Only one scoreboard we want to look at. Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. With the Utah's fortunate that they play the two of the teams that are in front of them in the standings that look like they're certainly leading the conference and look like they might be in the driver's seat to go to the Big 12 championship game and face each other for a chance at the college football playoff. But it's good that they play those teams, because if they just win out, it gets them closer to a Big 12 championship game berth just by winning out, just by beating Iowa State and BYU. So you're right about that. We did get a little bit of pushback from the poll on Twitter already. Some guy said, "Goodness gracious, let's just worry about winning tomorrow."
No, I know.
You're right. But I also
no. This is big picture optimism, though.
Yes.
It absolutely starts with TCU, and I will get into some fun facts about their history of playing each other and just about both teams in general. And yes, it is absolutely about that game tomorrow. But here's the thing: it's going to be about that game on Saturday or Friday or whenever they play. It's going to be about that game for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so, this is what we're trying to do is a little bit of mind control over you, darling, beloved listeners. What we're trying to do is, rather than focus on the bad news, we put that in the past. So rather than think, is the season over? What, next year, recruits or whatever. No. What we're doing is we are re-implanting the goal and the aspiration to get the Big 12 championship. We're putting that back in your brain. It might have been removed over the past 2 weeks, but no, we are putting it back in there. So we want to know, who do you think it will be? And it's important because Iowa State and BYU are the top two choices. And then there's Texas Tech and Kansas State. And then you can vote. You can just comment your other if you think it's somebody else.
There's certainly others in the running. Colorado has 2 losses on the season, but only one of those in conference play. So Colorado is very much alive, just like Kansas State. And anyway, that's just one off the top of the head that don't have enough choices for on our Twitter poll. But you could comment Colorado. You could comment someone else that is not one of those 4. But those are the 4. Those look to be the 4 most likely. And I didn't look at betting odds. I should have, and maybe use the betting odds. But I would guess that the betting odds would line up with those 4 right now.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the important part of it is, and you can vote on Twitter at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, at ESPN 700. The important part is that you play 2 of these teams. So if 3 of those teams are undefeated in conference, if they need to take 2 losses, you are going to be able to give them one of them.
Yep.
And yes, maybe you need some quote unquote help, but you just let it all play out and hope that they stumble. But you just take care of business, which starts with TCU tomorrow. Now, looking at, they haven't played each other as much as you think. They've only played each other 8 times. Utah is leading that 5-3. The longest winning streak for the Utes was 3 from 2006, 2008. Longest winning streak for TCU is 2 from 2009 and 2010. So not a ton of history between these 2 teams, but it was interesting to look at just the history of both teams. First of all, when did TCU win the national championship? It says they won 2. Obviously.
Definitely pre-BCS era.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, that's
kind of one of those. Maybe around the time Army was last good until this year, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't go too far into my research, but I did see that they won 2.
By the way, I did not plan on coming on the show today and having Army catch some strays. That's my bad. But
especially because they're undefeated this year.
They're good this year. So shout out to Army this year. Yes. But yeah, like, I don't know. But the thing you talk about there not being a ton of history, but they were in the Mountain West for more than a decade together, and that's why you just read all those off. Those were all like 8 years in a row. Their matchups in the late 2000s, and that last matchup in 2010 was one that Utes fans. It's a day that will live in infamy for Utes fans. Blackout game, super exciting. They were both ranked as group of 5 teams back then. That was BCS era, but we'll still use today's terminology. Group of 5 teams back then, and TCU blew the doors off Utah at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Unfortunately, it was not one that Utes fans like to remember. So there's plenty of Utes fans looking at this as probably a revenge game a little bit too. And it did become a bit of a rivalry because it was, if you remember back then, Zachariah, it was Utah, BYU, and TCU. Kind of the 3 were year in and year out in the Mountain West era. Were especially around that time, the last time Utah and TCU played, they were battling out for the Mountain West championship, and back then that meant a BCS berth in most of those years, BCS bowl game berth. So it became pretty heated. It just kind of unfortunately went by the wayside because Utah went to the Pac-12, TCU went to the Big 12, and that was that.
Yeah, I remember. I think we did a poll a couple of months back, and we said, outside of obviously BYU, biggest rival for Utah, and I remember a lot of people coming in on the TCU, even though they've only played each other 8 times. A lot of that came in, and again, that's because it's more recent, and obviously the games resonated a little bit more. But yeah, so look, 2 teams that I think have both underperformed. They're both right smack dab next to each other in the standings. I think both teams had higher expectations for themselves going into this year. Certainly we know all about the expectations for the Utes, but TCU, don't forget, was in the national championship game in 2022. They regressed a lot last year. They went 5-7, but I think people thought that they were going to be better this year. But the defense, and this is what's very important for this game tomorrow, I think, specifically looking at, obviously, Isaac Wilson, is that, look, TCU's coming to Utah. They're facing a Utah team that is trying to steady its season. And Cam Rising is obviously gone. And I think, again, I can't talk about this enough. His struggles in that game really stick out to me in terms of just what if Isaac Wilson was doing that instead, So, but here's the good news. Arizona State, even though they were picked to be at the bottom of the conference, their defense is kind of underrated. TCU's defense is horrible. And what do you want for a young kid, which, James, when you said it, I knew it was true, but when you said it, it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Was in high school this time last year.
Yeah.
So, but what you want for a guy like that is you want to go up against a really bad defense. So I know we don't talk a ton of gambling on this, and I'm not going to say what to bet, but I'm just going to say I think there's going to be a lot more points scored in this game than what possibly the people in Nevada think. I'll just leave it at that. And both because Utah's defense hasn't been phenomenal this year, and I think there's potential with TCU's offense, and I think TCU's defense is deplorable. And I think that, look, we talked to Ludd. You could tell he was angry. I tried to butter him up with the PFL third-ranked offensive coordinator in the nation, and he said, well, not after last week. And I was like, damn, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like a sergeant, like a drill sergeant.
Man.
He was just like, not after last week. So
credit,
that he's
credit to him for the self-awareness on that.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was
honesty.
It was a perfect retort to me. It was like, first of all, I'm not putting up with your shenanigans. I'm all business. And number 2, I will just do some, self, whatever it's called. And I'll just say not after last week. So he's hungry.
Self-deprecation. Yeah.
Yeah. Self-deprecation. Thank you, sir. That's why I keep you around, Jack.
Yeah.
So
I'm here to correct to give you your hints on what you're trying to say. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So, anyways, my point is not only the players, not only the coaching staff, and then this is where I ask you, Ute fans, I need you to go into tomorrow like you're undefeated. Or hell, if you'll be more rabid because you're lost the past couple of games, then do that. But in general, what I don't want you to be is down in the dumps. And it is time to resurrect this season, and it starts tomorrow. Go ahead, James.
And if you want to truly get a little crazy, hit them with the Horned Frog down.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just a little bit of that.
Well,
hang on. If you just want to get truly crazy.
Hang on, James, because if we do that, then I don't know. The Big 12 commissioner might fine.
Yeah.
So we need
risk.
We need an announcement. Yeah.
Well, you got to risk it to get the biscuit, my friend. Risk
that's true. Well, I think the first time you do it, I think you wouldn't get fined. So let's just start the whole process where it gets not. Let's start the process where it's finable, and then it gets to be unfinable. And
especially do it if you see some TCU fans doing the N to you, the upside down U. Like, absolutely, you got to respond with the Horned Frog down.
Yeah, for sure. All right. This opening segment of the Sean O'Connell Show is brought to you by Alvy Armani. If you are having hair issues, gentlemen or ladies, maybe it's just thinning more than you'd like, let Alvy Armani help you out. Find them online at alvyarmani.com. Tell them ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM sent you. Again, check out the polls on my Twitter, at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, at the station's Twitter, at ESPN 700. Weigh in, be heard. You can also text in or call in. Dish Pros text line 877-353-0700. But right now, let's go out to Bryce Larson. He is live at Smith's at 875 East 800 South in Salt Lake City. Bryce, how you doing, sir? How is it out there? What's it looking like? Is everybody pumped? People excited about tomorrow or what?
Getting ready for the game tomorrow. We are here live at the Smiths on 9th and 9th. Hey, I do want to remind everybody, Smiths has everything you need for that Utah and TCU game that's coming up tomorrow, whether you're tailgating out in the lot or maybe you're doing a backyard party for that game. You can come check out the fresh meat department. They've got a cheese counter. They've got everything that you need, seafood, rotisserie chicken, fresh-made products at the bakery. We also got a couple of things for you to win if you come on down and say hello. We've got some hospitality tent passes to the Smiths tailgate that's going on tomorrow before the game starts. If you come on down, give us an answer to Zachariah's poll of the day here, and tell me the two teams you think are making it to the Big 12 championship game, and you'll win yourself a pair of tickets to the Smiths tailgate that's coming up tomorrow. You can also enter in to win a Pacifico cooler, which is really nice. A $200 cooler. We've got some entry slips for you to fill out. Come on down. Check it out. All that you need for your tailgate coming up tomorrow for the Utah and TCU game. Check it out. Each of these tailgate passes valued up to $100, as well as a $200 cooler that you could win. If you come on down, tell me the two teams you think will make the Big 12 championship game at the end of the season. Coming up around the corner, though, Zachariah will welcome in Bill Riley, the voice of the Utes. He's going to chat with him a little bit about if Utah still has the possibility to be able to achieve their lofty preseason goals, what needs to happen if that's going to be the case, and more. That's coming up around the corner and next right here on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Welcome back to the program. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. His guy, Zachariah, filling in right here on ESPN 700. Coming up, next segment, we will do fun in the 40s or the 50s, depending on which portion of the hour we get to it. But that's where we go around the worldwide part of the sports, and we talk on national headlines. We will do that coming up next. But right now, it is a pleasure to be joined by. He doesn't even really need an introduction. As soon as you hear his voice, you're going to know his voice. It's Bill Riley. Come on. He is the director of broadcasting at Utah. Plus, you hear him obviously doing the play-by-play right here on ESPN 700. And he's brought to you by Advanced Window Products. Bill, how are you?
Zachariah, I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm better. I mean, this week has been a week of sort of dealing with the grieving process. And I know you're a professional and you try not to get too closely tied to the team or get emotional. You've got a job to do, and I understand that. But how did you deal with the news, and how are you feeling about it? I think in the very least, the one silver lining, I interviewed Coach Ludd the other day. I think the one silver lining is now they have clarity at the quarterback position, and Isaac's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough for Cam. I've known Cam for 5 years now. He's a great kid. And he's just one of those guys. When he's healthy, he's been spectacular. Leads to Utah to a couple of Pac-12 championships, but he's just been unlucky when it's come to injuries. Obviously, the knee in the Rose Bowl, and this year the hand and finger. And then obviously the ankle that rolled last week at ASU. It's just, you feel for him because he's worked his tail off to get back and try to lead this team. His teammates love him. He wants to be back out there, but his body, he's just been the recipient of some tough luck. So on that side of it, you feel awful. Now he's had a great career, and that part of it's good. But now you're right. There's some clarity for Utah football. They know that Isaac's going to be the guy. Isaac gets, 85, 90% of the reps in practice. The teammates know Isaac because he's played 3.5 games this year. They know who he is and what he can do. So now you've got some clarity moving forward. If you're Andy Ludwig, you know who you're calling the game for. You know the game plan you're devising for. If you're Isaac, you know you're the guy. You don't have to look over your shoulder. Cam's not coming back this year. And if you're one of the teammates, offensive linemen, tight ends, receivers, running backs, you know who your guy is, and you know that you're not having to worry about that either. So as much as it stinks for Cam and for the team, you now have that clarity. Isaac's going to be the guy this year. He may be the guy for the future moving forward too. And, I said it the other day to somebody, it's a new era now. When you change quarterbacks, when you go into that changes the era you're in for football. And now it's the Isaac Wilson era, and we'll see what Isaac can do tomorrow night moving forward this year.
Speaking of Cam and in that game, man, it was just tough to watch, not only knowing what he was going through with the hand, but then obviously also the leg. But that happened early in the game, Bill. And so I asked Coach Ludd, was there any discussion about benching Cam at halftime? Because, Bill, Utah was moving the ball, 7 trips inside the Arizona State 30, only 1 touchdown to show for that. And that Cam, that might have been Cam on the field, but that is not the Cam that we knew. Do you think that ultimately the coaching staff, if they could go back and do it over again, would have just put Isaac in at halftime?
I don't know that. They've been pretty clear that. You look at it now and you say hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
In the moment, they felt like Cam gave them their best chance to win. As good as Isaac is, he doesn't have the game experience Cam does. It's a 4-point game, and so you're like, okay, you had seen him move the ball just a little bit and do some things. Clearly the ankle, which he injured in the first half, it got worse on him as the game went along because you watched him play. And, one of the secret sauces with Cam Rising is his ability to move, extend plays, or make a play with his legs. And because of that ankle issue, it just didn't materialize on Friday night. So I think they were in the moment, and they looked Cam in the eyes, and Cam really felt like he could go because he's a competitor. But at the end of the day, that wasn't the case. And as a result, the changes made this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately they said, the doctors said he was good to go. And I think you can't go against the doctors. So I understood why they did it, but I just can't help but think that maybe they would have taken advantage of more opportunities if they had Isaac in there, because that was Cam at 15, 20% maybe. Anyways, Bill Riley is my guest right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. His guy Zachariah filling in on ESPN 700. All right, let's turn the page a bit. I had a chance to speak with Mekhi Bernard, and he is emerging. And there was some talk, at least in the beginning of the year, about who would emerge as the running back, the bell cow running back. I think we've got our answer now, Bill, and he was named captain, one of the captains for the offense. And I tried to get something out of Ludd in terms of how much they're going to change their play calling, but can you see this become a more traditional Utah, tons of run game, and Mekhi possibly getting a spike in his carries? How much do you think they're going to be relying on Mekhi specifically now that Isaac is the QB?
I think I don't know that it changes a lot, Zachariah, because they've been running Mekhi. I mean, I just, he had 28 carries against Oklahoma State. Hit a good number of carries last weekend. Maybe could have had a few more. I think his load on touches, because he catches the ball really well out of the backfield too. I think his workload is probably in that 23 to 28 touches per game. And I think that's probably what it's going to be, whether that's passes, catches, whatever it might happen to be, or runs. I think you're going to see him there. I think that's kind of what it's been most of this year. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to be a big part of this. And, yeah, for Utah to do what they want to do and to relieve a little bit of the pressure on a good, improving quarterback, but still not a guy that's complete finished product yet. I think a good running game is a young quarterback's best friend. I know you're in the Bay Area. When they stuck Brock Purdy in a couple of years ago, when the injuries piled up with the San Francisco 49ers, they could lean on Christian McCaffrey. They could lean on Deebo Samuel. They could lean on those guys. And when you're able to run the football and get in short yardage situations on second and third down, I think that just makes life a lot easier on an improving but inexperienced quarterback.
100%. All right, well, I got to take advantage of you being a play-by-play guy. I'm sure for each game you do your prep going into the game, and tomorrow is where, the Utes need to turn their season around. Let's put the two Arizona teams behind us. You got to move forward. What do you see out of TCU? These teams are right next to each other in the standings, both probably underperforming to what their expectations were going in. What do you see from what you've studied on film from this team? It looks like a very vulnerable defense, in my opinion, Bill, which should be very good for Isaac.
Yeah, I think we could see some points tomorrow night, Zachariah. You're right. They're very good on offense. This kid, their sophomore quarterback, Josh Hoover, is very good. They've got really good weapons in the throw game, too. They don't run it a lot, but that's typical. You remember when Sonny Dykes was at Cal. He didn't run the ball a ton there. He let Jerry Goff cook. So they'll run it. They've got a couple of good backs, but their bread and butter is throwing the football. And so I think it's going to be a game where, and you're right, they're okay defensively. They're not a lockdown defense by any means, but Utah's going to have its hands full on the defensive side with Hoover and that offense. This will be probably the best passing offense, at least on paper, they've faced. As good as Arizona is, they hit Utah for a couple of big plays, and they actually ran the ball a little bit. I think Sonny Dykes, because it's Sonny Dykes and it's the air raid, they're going to come out and throw the football. On the other side, though, it'll be I'm really curious to see what Andy Ludwig decides to do, because Isaac has thrown the ball well. In fact, in his last game, he threw it for about 280 yards. He's got to cut down on the picks. Everybody knows that, but he has thrown the ball well. But Utah's also run the ball well in just about every game this year. So I'm really curious to see, against a defense that's solid but not spectacular, how they decide they want to attack this thing early tomorrow.
Well, quickly here, because I don't know when the next time I'm going to get a chance to rap with you, but BYU, my God, I mean, I people might have had higher expectations than what most pundits thought, but I don't think anybody thought they'd get off to this kind of start. I know you don't dive into as much film work on BYU as you do Utah, but just from afar, Bill, how shocked have you been by their start?
I'll be honest, a little surprised, just because going into the season, I didn't know a lot about them. I didn't know how good their offense was going to be. I didn't know how good Retzlaff was going to be. Here's what I've said all along. They're good. And every week I see them play, I'm a little bit more impressed. What I'm impressed by is, they don't win the contest getting off the bus, if that makes sense. They don't wow you with unbelievable athleticism. But what they do is they play good, smart, sound football. They don't beat themselves. They don't turn it over a bunch. And when you turn it over, they make you pay. That's been one of the things Utah's dealt with, Zachariah. They've gotten some turnovers, but they've not paid them off with touchdowns. When BYU's gotten turnovers this year, they've paid them off with touchdowns. And in a day and age, and especially in a conference, it's pretty well balanced across the board. If you play good, smart football and you don't beat yourself, you're going to be in a lot of games. So I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far.
So this kind of grinds my gears, but quote unquote, Utah is going to need some help if they're going to try to get to where they want to go. But do you think this is the kind of conference of the teams that are undefeated in it within the conference right now? Can you see a couple of teams going undefeated, or do you think these guys are going to beat each other up?
No, I think whoever plays in Dallas will have at least one loss, and it wouldn't surprise me to see a couple of losses. Utah, now, to be fair, Utah's road is difficult now. They've made their road difficult by losing back-to-back games and not having their starting quarterback the rest of the year. However, in the 2 years they won the Pac-12 championship, they also put themselves behind the 8-ball early in the year. Now, they've got to play BYU. Cougars are undefeated. They get them at home. They've still got to play Iowa State. Cyclones right now are undefeated in conference play. Still going to play them at home. That's fine. You've got to, but you can't worry about that. You know, you've got TCU this week. You've got Houston next week. You get those games. You've righted the ship a little bit. Then you've got then November is going to be tough. BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, 3 good football teams right there. But they're not out of it. But if they don't win tomorrow night, I'm not sure you can win the league with 3 losses. I'm not sure you can get to Dallas and play in the championship game with 3 losses, especially when you consider we're halfway through the year and there's already a couple of teams still that are undefeated in conference play. Good news for Utah is they play those teams. Tough news is you've got 2 losses in your back pocket. So it's possible, but the margin for error is very thin.
Absolutely. Bill Riley, brought to you by Advanced Window Products. I'm trying to get Nate Orchard to come hook me up out here in the Bay Area, Bill. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it all the way out there, but what can you tell the people out there in Utah if they're looking to get their windows taken care of?
Well, here's what I'll say. Nate and Jake are good dudes. If they can do it, they'll find a way to do it. But I can tell you, if you live in Utah, you live in Salt Lake City, you live in northern Utah, these are the guys. And here's the other thing. We have gone here from summer to winter in the course of like 2 days. You're going to be kicking your heat on in your house. If you've got drafty windows, old windows, don't pay unreal heating bills this winter. Have them come out, have them measure, have them give you an estimate. They're great folks. If you order 10 windows or more, you need a lot of windows, new windows, they'll give you $2,500 off. Maybe you just need a couple of windows replaced. They can do that for you too. Bottom line is, they're here. They're local. I'm always a big proponent of supporting local companies that do great work. So call Advanced Window Products. Tell Nate, tell Jake, tell any of the guys that are ordering up on the phone that you want to have them come out to your house, give it a look. Once they put the windows in, you'll love it. And you do what I did too. Windows are great, but when you get those shutters and blinds on those windows, it just tops it off. They could do that for you as well. It's Advanced Window Products, locally owned and operated, more than 36 years in business. Let them take good care of you like they have me. Zachariah, it is great talking to you, my brother.
Hey, the feeling's mutual. And yeah, that's a good point. You're going to think about the money you'll save, both keeping the heat in or keeping the heat out when you get those windows. You got to factor that in to the pricing as well. Bill, always a pleasure. I would say have a great call, but I already know you're going to have a great call. And hopefully we get a win and start turning this thing around. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon, hopefully.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. Bill Riley, voice of the Utes. Always fantastic insight. And James, I think he hit on a lot of the stuff that we were saying. Number one, I think I got to legally, of course, and responsibly put in some over, because Bill said that, I don't know if he was listening earlier and he was just concurring with me, but I'm really liking the over in this game. I think it's going to be an exciting game. And also, he laid it out. He said, look, I think when it comes down to the championship game in Texas, that there's going to be, he said there's not going to be an undefeated team. He thinks that it could be two two-loss teams, or it could be a one-loss team and a two-loss team. Right now, if you're a Ute fan, you got two. So you want to take one of those slots. And he also thinks that this conference will beat up on each other. This is not like some runaway for any of the teams that we put up on the poll. And again, you can vote on that. Go to my Twitter, at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, and then you go on the station's Twitter, at ESPN 700. Put your votes down. Put some comments in there, even if it's ripping into me and James, because, to pull the curtain back a little bit, I got called out of the bullpen, emergency relief. You were probably expecting Scotty Mitchell.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be Scott today. In case everyone was paying attention from earlier in the week, we were teasing Scott today. He woke up sick as a dog. I'll just put it at that. And so Zachariah coming in from the bullpen. Bryce Larson also being pulled in for some relief innings as well. He's at Smith's, and Zachariah is still you're still out remotely broadcasting here. So Bryce is at Smith's. So go on out to Smith's at 9th and 9th. Say hi to Bryce. Bryce is making you answer the poll question. Which team's going to make it to the Big 12 championship game? If Utah can make it there, who are they going to play? He's going to make you answer that poll question, then he's got a ton of prizes to give away, including Smith's tailgate passes, which those things are valued at like $100, Zachariah. So you can get it for free if you just answer that question with Bryce. Answer that question to Bryce at the 9th and 9th Smiths from 11 to 2. So we're doing this, but we want the smoke. If you've got some passionate comments for us about positive or negative, we're equipped to handle it. So send it on through.
We are strong like bull. We got broad shoulders. So bring it, because originally they ripped into us and go, "Hey, fellas, can you relax on the Big 12 championship? Can we focus on tomorrow and TCU?" And look. We understand
Someone
that.
said it's crazy talk, and it is a little crazy considering the last 2 weeks. But also, I went ahead and responded to him on the station Twitter account. I said, "Listen, it's also a more interesting way to ask who's going to win the Big 12." Okay, that's a little boring way to ask it. We're gonna spice it up by saying, "Hey, Utah's in the game. Who are they playing?"
but also, James, in our defense, it is not that crazy. And Bill just got through telling you, you heard it from the voice of the Utes himself. He said that he thinks this conference is going to beat up on each other. He thinks that the championship game is going to end with a 2-loss team in there, and it's definitely not going to be a 0-loss team in there.
Why can't the Utes be that 2-loss team, one of the 2-loss teams in there? They've got everything in front of them, despite how badly things have gone, for sure.
Exactly. And again, you're playing Iowa State and you're playing BYU. If they need 2 or just 1, you can give them that one of their 2 or that one of their 1. So we'll see how everything plays out. And again, if you end up with the same amount, you're going to have the head-to-head over them. So I don't know exactly how that works with strength of schedule and how good your losses were or how bad your wins were or whatever, but I'm pretty sure head-to-head usually wins out, right?
I'd have to look up the Big 12 championship game tiebreakers because every one of these conferences has a different tiebreaker
I know.
rules. I'm fairly certain all of them have head-to-head as the first tiebreaker. I'm fairly certain that's the case. But I'll check that during the break, and we can fact-check that a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, whatever. The point is, yes, you have to start with tomorrow. But the other thing that we were trying to do with this whole thing is put this past week behind us. It was a bit of dark, gloom, and doom week, but we are past that now. We are turning the page. We are focusing on TCU, but the reason why we asked the question, how confident are you? Who do you think that they'll play? Is because we want you to get back into that preseason mindset when there was so much optimism. It can still be there. It starts tomorrow. And as Bill said, you lose tomorrow, it's going to be tough sledding. He doesn't think a 3-loss team is going to get in there. But we're not thinking about L's. We're thinking about W's. And that does start tomorrow, but we got to get back into the mindset that the season is still ahead of you. And you have a ton of talent on the both offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, and you've got a fantastic coaching staff. So let's go get them, Use. You know what I'm saying? Frog hands down.
Yeah, Horn
you know
Frog
what I mean?
down. Yeah.
Horn Frog
down. I want to see a bunch of that. I'm saying that tongue in cheek because I think it's just I think it's pretty funny the way that it started with horns down with Texas. Now every school's hand sign has to, if you're against that school, you have to do the upside down version. So I'm saying it tongue in cheek, but it would be pretty funny. It would be pretty funny to see a bunch of Horned Frog down, because I don't think that's happened yet. I think that would be a first in college football. I'm
trying to get you into the headlines. I want program director at ESPN 700 Salt Lake City, Utah, starts a Horned Frog down movement that is now being reviewed by the Big 12 commissioner. I'm trying to get you in hot water, James. I'm not taking any blame for this.
Like I said, give me all the smoke. Let's go.
All right. Vote on the polls. Weigh in. Again, you can call or text in. Happy Friday to everybody. It's game day eve, baby. 877-353-0700. On Twitter at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports. Of course, the Twitter handle at ESPN 700. Weigh in there. We'll be doing that throughout the show. Coming up next, Fun in the 50s. That's where we go around the wacky world of sports. I pick out headlines from national sports news that caught my eye, that are interesting to me, and hopefully I make interesting for you. You're listening to the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700.
Perfect. He's at noon. Oh, yeah, I'll do that. No, their last names are actually spelled a little bit different too, but no relation.
James is in a Friday mood because he let that thing go for a while. I didn't know if I was waiting for the big voice guy, but James let that song ride a little bit. I think James was rocking out, kind of got caught up in the music, forgot to hit that big guy liner.
Hey, man, Take Me Home Tonight is always good. It's
true.
I try to put it in the third hour, but it snuck it in here in the second hour because, with the Take Me Home end of the show there. But, yeah, let it ride a little bit on a Friday. Why not?
Absolutely. We're having fun on a Friday. Game day eve, baby. You fans stand up. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700. Coming up at the top of the hour, we will talk with Jordan Wynn, former Utah quarterback. He was kind of on that tail end of the Mountain West Conference era, so maybe he can tell me more about this TCU rivalry as I kind of pitter-patted it away, saying that they've only met 8 times, but maybe he'll tell me why it's the real deal as the Utes take on the Froghorns. I don't know why I have so much trouble with that. I'm just going to call them the Frogs. I don't think you need to put horn in there. I'm just going with. I'm just going with Frogs.
They do go by Frogs short term for sure.
So the Frogs, the Utes and the Frogs,
or the Frogs.
That sounds like a good old country backyard game. The Utes and the Frogs tomorrow. So we'll talk to him about that and much, much more. But right now, it's time for Fun in the 50s, where we go around the world of sports. And actually, James brought this to my attention. Well, actually, I saw OC send a tweet about it that Jerry Reisdorf. By the way, is this the same Jerry Reisendorf of that totally blew up the Bulls?
Yeah, Jerry Reinsdorf, the chairman of the Bulls as well.
It's the same guy?
Same guy. Bulls and White Sox. Jerry Reinsdorf. And he's had him for about the same length of time.
How old is he?
He's getting up there. There's no coincidence that when MJ retired the first time and decided to play baseball, he played in the White Sox organization.
That's right, the Bulls, right?
It's the Jerry Reinsdorf connection there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that part makes sense. But I guess I'm shocked that he's still alive. I mean,
I know.
Tip of the cap for him.
It makes sense that maybe since he's getting up there, he's like, I don't want to be. Let me take one team off my plate here. I need to start taking some things off my plate professionally. Here's the White Sox. Whoever wants to buy them.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, though, James.
I'm trying to take it. I can't relate because I'm trying to take small day-to-day tasks off my plate here. I'm wearing a bunch of hats here, including program director and producer of the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm trying to delegate and find ways to take some small day-to-day things off my plate. He's like, I'm trying to take this team off my plate.
Yeah, except here's the thing. I've got the same philosophy if I owned a team that I would do when you own a house. Essentially, I would never sell. I don't care what the market says. It might dip, it might go up or whatever. You never sell property. And if I had the luxury of owning a team, you never sell the team. I mean, I don't know if he has kids that are interested in getting into it. So I guess if he does, if that's the case, if he doesn't have any kids that want to get into it, then selling it probably makes sense. But I would never sell a team. And I would definitely and if my dad owned a team, I would pray to God that he would pass it on to me. But anyways, the point of it all is we're talking about Utah, specifically Salt Lake, getting all these teams, right? We've talked about Real Salt Lake, the soccer team, and you got the hockey club that moved from Arizona. Oh, by the way, I had a guest that wanted to, oh man, this is stuff that we got to talk about off air. But I got a guy he's a MLB insider, James, but he's a diehard Arizona fan. So when I said ESPN 700 Salt Lake, he's like, oh, yeah, I can come on and tell you how peed off I am that you stole my hockey team. I was like, oh, that would make for great radio. Anyways, another day. The point is he's selling the White Sox. Sounds like the Twins owners are selling. I've very much detailed all of the disaster that's gone on with the A's. Now they're going to play in Sacramento for a couple of years. Yeah, that's going to go great. And then they're trying to say that they're going to Vegas. But as I told you, I've seen 9,000 renderings, and not all of them come true. And I've already heard stuff about the mayor not even wanting them to go there. So the point is, and the MLB is expanding. So let's not forget about that. The NFL's 32 teams, NBA is 30 teams, and MLB is 30 teams. I believe baseball wants to go to 32. So now we're talking about, in theory, if the White Sox relocated or the Twins relocated or they're just selling and the A's can't get to Vegas or they expand by 2 teams, you are now upping your chances of Salt Lake City, Utah getting a baseball team. So James just threw it out and was like, what's more likely? And honestly, I think one way or another, especially with, look at how much success already the Utah Hockey Club is having. If you're MLB, you've got to be looking at Utah and going, okay, well, the Jazz do really well. Obviously college football does really well. Hockey is trending towards doing really well. Soccer does really well. Like, why wouldn't we want to put a team in Salt Lake? So that was just something interesting that that James brought to my attention.
I think right now, I would lean towards more likely expansion because I'm not sure White Sox or Twins are relocating. There's no story about that right now. So
yeah, but James, people said that about the Seattle Supersonics.
It's true. I wouldn't guess that right now that we'd get one of those teams. A's, like you said, never say never when it comes to the A's moving someplace besides Vegas. James, that would be my dream. Yeah.
If they moved to Salt Lake and they kept the green and gold and they kept the name and all that stuff and they were the Utah A's, I would love that. That would make this whole morning thing for me. It would make it a lot easier for me to deal with.
So there's that you might say that's the one that you might say, okay, that's more likely than expansion, but I'm leaning towards it's most likely Utah gets an expansion team around 2030. Who knows? Maybe before that, maybe a little after that.
Yeah, they are definitely on the short list. I think I saw Portland was in the mix there too, and then obviously Vegas, if that doesn't work out with the A's, them getting their own team. I mean, stuff's going to shuffle around. But either way, I think it's sort of inevitable that Salt Lake ends up getting a baseball team. But let's go out to Smith's, live to Smith's with my guy, Bryce Larson, hanging out at Smith's at 875 East 800 South in Salt Lake City. If you're in the neighborhood, if you're going on your lunch break, go visit my guy, Bryce, get some prizes, and say hello to Bryce. All you got to do is listen to part of the show or some of the show or listen to my interview with Bill Riley where we talked about the Big 12 championship. The Utes are still trying to put that on their goals list, and that starts with the game tomorrow. Bryce, how you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, by the way, you brought up TCU has 2 national championships. They claim 2 national championships. One of them was in 1935, the other 1938. They were both led by 2 important dudes in the football scene, Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Sammy Baugh, as well as the Heisman Trophy winner and Davey O'Brien. So a couple of notable names leading those teams back then.
Well, Bryce, when I said it, I was like, wait a second. When in God's name did TCU win the national championship? But now that you've explained that it was in the 30s, I don't even think my parents were born in the 30s. Then, yes, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's back when TCU was in the Southwest Conference. They were in that conference from 1923 to 1950 or 1995. So
look at my
quite
Bryce
some time
doing
there.
work on my guy. Bryce is out there holding it down at Smith's, and he's also doing research on just when the TCU Horned Frogs won their national championships. Anyways, tell the people why they should go say hello to you, Bryce.
That's right. We're out here at the Smiths on 9th and 9th. Come on by. We've got tailgate passes for you, getting you ready for Utah and TCU. When you get here, you got to walk in the store, come to the back corner of the store near the produce section. I've got a bunch of tailgate passes. Just come and tell me your 2 teams. Who do you think is going to make the Big 12 championship game? And you're going to be able to win a pair of these tailgate tickets for the Smiths tailgate coming up tomorrow, as well as enter to win this Pacifico cooler I have here for you. It is a nice one, up to $200 value on this Pacifico cooler, as well as $100 value on these Smiths tailgate passes. Just come on in at the Smiths on 9th and 9th. You can check them out. You can also pick up everything you need for your tailgate, your party, whatever your plans are for tomorrow. Check out the seafood department. They've got rotisserie chicken, fresh-made products at the bakery, drinks, water, bags of ice. It's all here at Smith's on 9th and 9th. You can also come and win some tailgate passes. So come on down, back corner of the store in the produce section. We've got you covered for your tailgate coming up tomorrow. Around the corner, we're going to welcome in Jordan Wynn, former Utah quarterback who unfortunately knows what it's like to be the oft-injured quarterback and the starting quarterback of this Utah football team. Zachariah is going to get into him, ask him a little bit about what it's like for the team to have that situation, as well as how much better the team can perform when they know who the starter is going to be each week leading into the game. That's coming up next on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 792.1 FM.
program. Hour 1 in the books. 2 more to go for your listening pleasure. That's right. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm his main man, his right-hand arm. Have you clipped that up yet, James? We got to get that for the next time that I fill in. His right-hand arm. Anyways, Zachariah right here, ESPN 700. OC's out there calling fights. I usually joke and I say, OC's probably in somewhere like Abu Dhabi or something like that. And that is actually where he is. So he'll be back Monday. I tried to get him to join the show a couple of times, but I'm sure the hours do not mix him up. There's a specific question that thankfully is not time sensitive. So I will ask him that next time I'm filling in, or maybe when I'm doing the Zachariah Hour, which is, by the way, looking for a sponsor, and is every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. So if you want to sponsor this guy right here, go ahead and contact the people at ESPN 700. But yeah, maybe next time we do the Zachariah Hour, there is a very poignant question, James, that came up yesterday. I don't know if you remember what it was, but I do want to ask him that. Unfortunately, he can't join today. But no fear. We have plenty of fantastic guests, including our next one. But before we get to him, we want you to weigh in on the poll question. We're trying to realign your mind. We're trying to put the past week behind us with the bad news and the bad loss and all the bad. We're looking towards the future now. It is Friday, fun on a Friday, feel good Friday, all that good stuff. Utes play tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day to turn the season around. You got a new chapter, a new page, you got a new quarterback, all that good stuff. So we're trying to get your mind towards thinking about, can the Utes make it to the Big 12 championship game? And if they do, who will they play? So we've got a poll up there that you can go vote on. Again, I'm at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, or you can go to the station's handle at ESPN 700. And of course, you can weigh in on the Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. You can call in there as well. Call or text again, 877-353-0700. But right now, as I said, no OC, you know what I mean? Like when the cat's away, the mice will play. And so we're going to play with Jordan Wynn, former Utah quarterback, 2009 to 2012. Follow him on Twitter at JWynn with two N's, 801. Jordan, how are you, sir? First time talking to you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. I'm doing well. I wish I was in Abu Dhabi. That'd be fun.
I don't see. That's one of those places where I don't even know if I would want to be there. But I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on how much of a traveler you are. But I don't know how high Abu Dhabi would be on my list of places that I'd like to go visit. But Jordan, I want to start with this. You were there towards the end of the Utes run with the Mountain West Conference era and the beginning of the Pac-12 era. So tell me kind of how that transition went. I had Mekhi Bernard on the other day, and I asked him sort of about the difference between leaving the Pac-12 and going to the Big 12. Do players really even care what conference they're in?
It's funny you mentioned that. I think for him, maybe Pac-12 to Big 12 probably wasn't too bad of a change, and probably didn't weigh too much on him. For me, going from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, it was a big deal. That's why I actually originally didn't commit to Utah. I was committed to Colorado for a long time, wanted to play in a Power 5 conference, didn't want to play in the Mountain West, and ultimately Utah was going on an unbelievable run in 2008 that ended in a Sugar Bowl win and finished ranked number 2. And that's what ultimately, flipped me and with the chance to play as a freshman. So it was a big deal to go to the Pac-12, especially being a SoCal kid, being able to be in the conference that I grew up watching in. And it was a pretty big jump for us. I've talked about it in years past. Our ones, or those first couple of years, our ones could hang with just about anybody in the league. But as soon as we started to, catch an injury bug or have some guys miss significant playing time, the lack of depth really started to show from that jump. And so it was super interesting. I think Kyle's done such a good job now recruiting that there's no lack of talent 2 to 3 spots down. But I just remember that was probably the biggest difference I realized, the lack of depth, and then a little bit of the size factor. I think our front guys weren't quite as big as some of the guys we went up against. They were just as talented though, and like I said, we were able to hang. But definitely once you start getting down into the depth chart, those first few years were a little tough.
Yeah. So Jordan, I wanted to sort of pick your brain and get a description of the mentality. You had things that you dealt with during your career at Utah. Obviously, the bad news coming down about Cam this week. Just talk about what that's like for the actual player. Forget about the on-the-field stuff, but just what you think Cam is going through mentally right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly difficult. Coming in as a 19-year-old when I started playing, I mean, I grew up watching Brett Favre. And that was kind of the mindset that I had on the field. I wanted to throw the ball down the field. I wanted to throw touchdowns. I, wanted to make people in the stands stand up and have fun while I was doing it. And once you start getting cut open, man, it's hard to continue to play at the level you were at. And Cam's no stranger to that. And it's difficult. And I don't know. It sounds like I don't know if there's quite been a decision made if he's going to play football again or not, but I remember when I was told, that I was done. I mean, it's devastating. It's the worst. I mean, it was the worst day of my life. You can't fathom, towards the end, it's coming, especially once you've had a few surgeries. You're somewhat of like damaged goods. So the shot of the NFL is real slim already. You throw that in and it's like, all right, probably not in my cards here, but once you're actually told no, it's difficult. I mean, for me, I grew up. I mean, I played football since I was 6 years old. It's all I knew, and so having to reset, your whole mindset, and frankly, your identity as who you are as a person was super difficult. And thankfully, I had a really good support system, really good family around me. My father was the first one I called. I was in the locker room up at Utah State at halftime. And on the bus ride calling them, and it's tough. So I feel for Cam. I know it probably better than anyone what he's going through, and it's tough, incredibly tough. I will say he has a little bit more money in his bank account than I did at the time with the NIL stuff. But look, your whole life is this, and so when you're told, essentially you need to start your life all over, it's very tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jordan Wynn is my guest, former Utah quarterback, 2009 to 2012, right here, Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in on ESPN 700. Yeah, I'm not going to try to even compare my career to either yours or Cam's, but I was, again, when you grow up just playing, I played basketball. When you play one thing and you think that you're going to be, in my case, like in the NBA, and you have high school success, and then I had to make a decision. Basically what I did is I ended up playing junior college ball because it allowed me to extend how long I was going to play. And it gave me more time to process that was not going to be my whole life. You know what I mean? And you even hear pro athletes talking about it at like 40 years old. They're like, a lot of them are like, well, what do I do now? Because all I've been doing is football, and they had a successful 20-year career, but then just like that, it's like you got to figure out something else to do with your life. And a lot of guys struggle with that. So, yeah, I mean, just, feel for Cam. And, again, we're hoping that he comes on ESPN 700 to kind of, have like a little closing chapter, because he was coming on weekly. And, it's just a lot of injuries are rough, man.
Yeah, it's difficult. You were at I was looking you up. You were at Contra Costa, yeah?
Yes, sir. Oh, look at you. Did your research.
Hey, man, I'm working sales, dude. That's all I do is figure out people and how to talk to them. How'd you like that?
I don't even know how you Googled that. Say again?
How'd you enjoy that? How was it being there?
Oh, look, I'm the one getting interviewed now. James is going to kill me in the commercial break.
I like flipping the script. I like flipping the script a little bit.
No, I like that. I like that. I just don't know if my boss is going to like that. Oh, I love Contra Costa. Like I said, I was first team all league in high school. And I actually got an offer to a very prestigious school in Southern California. They call it like the Harvard of the West Coast or whatever. And my SAT scores were decent enough, but still not enough even to get a scholarship. So I was just dealing with whether or not I wanted to like walk on somewhere and not play, because I'm really competitive. And so I have a hard time sitting on the bench. So like the middle road for me was just playing junior college ball, because then I was able to actually play and also sort of process that it wasn't going to be my thing for long. So then I transferred into Cal, and then, whatever. Gotcha. Rest is history. I mean, but enough about me.
Whether you're 18, 20, or 40, it's hard, man. like you were saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure. When it's your whole life. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, when it's your whole life and you got to do something different, it's totally crazy. All right, well, let's turn the page now because unfortunately, with injuries, that's what you have to do. I mean, totally. it sounds cold, but you'll hear it even from the teammates. Next man up, right? So it's like, you can't focus on the guy that's injured because unfortunately he can't play. So I want to ask you about Isaac Wilson. He got a lot of love before the season started in terms of generating buzz in camp, the quote unquote camp, the quote unquote buzzword in camp. And obviously his brother was successful at BYU and got drafted number 2 by the Jets. So what have you seen from Isaac Wilson and how confident do you think Ute fans should be with this transition from Cam to Isaac?
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's a confident kid, has all the talent in the world, has had significant playing time. I mean, I think you watch, Oklahoma State is having somewhat of a tough season, but to go in there on the road is still hard. It's hard to win a football game. It doesn't matter who you're playing, and especially on the road. And to get that one done was impressive. I think it'll be interesting to see, like from a mental standpoint, right? Because it's one thing to kind of him and haw and not know if you're going to play or if you're going to start or when you're going to come in, and it's another thing to be just given the keys all week. And for the remainder of the year, right? And so I'm interested to see how he looks. Again, super talented. Hopefully he comes out and kind of takes advantage. And, like you mentioned, I can promise you this, TCU does not care. And that's the cold side of sports. And like you said, it's the Utah mentality, next man up, pick up the rifle and figure it out because your opponents do not care, and they're here to win a football game, and you got to find a way to beat them. And but I think Ute fans should be super optimistic. I mean, anytime there's a guy as a true freshman getting significant playing experience, in my opinion, should be looked at as a positive. For the next 4 years, 3 years, whatever the way college is now. Hopefully this is a long, illustrious career here and a new page in Utah football.
Jordan Wynn, former Utah quarterback from 2009 to 2012. Give him a follow on Twitter at JWin801. Jordan, great stuff, man. Great conversation. And thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure to talk to you.
There you go. Jordan Wynn. Good stuff. Yeah. Good insight on making that transition. He's like, whoa. Slow your roll. It might not have been a big deal for them to move from Pac-12 to the Big 12, but yes, it was a big deal moving from the Mountain West to the Pac-12. I was like, okay, my bad. I mean, and I can get it. And I love that he said, look, our ones could hang with the ones, but our twos, they were like high school. I mean, I guess they're all kind of high school kids, but I think that he very much felt the difference in the conferences when the second string guys came in or, guys get subbed out. So even if you're not starting, you're still going to play because guys got to take a breather every once in a while. But that was good stuff from him. All right, well, this is basically our next guest because he's our guest throughout the show, and it's the one and only Bryce Larson. Hold it down out there. Salute to my guy for doing research while he is live at Smith's. Go visit him, say hello, and take advantage of the fact that he's giving away prizes. 875 East 800 South in Salt Lake City. Bryce, what's going on, my man? Are people popping up? Are they showing up and showing out or what?
Absolutely. These tailgate passes are going fast. We've got the Pacifico cooler that we're having people enter to win out here. I've given away multiple tickets so far for these tailgates. Don't miss out. We are at the Smiths on 9th and 9th. Don't forget to stop by. Come in. Once you get in the doors, you got to come towards the back of the store. We're out here in the produce section, so make sure you find us in the back corner, and you can come in and enter to win this Pacifico cooler. It's a value of $200 for that Pacifico cooler. Really nice, really durable, and you're going to want it for all of your tailgating needs. You can also come in. Let me know your answer to the poll of the day. If Utah makes it to the Big 12 championship game, who are they going to face? Tell me your two teams that are going to be in the Big 12 championship game, and I'll hook you up with a pair of tickets to tomorrow's tailgate for Smiths. I want to remind you that Smiths got everything for you when it comes to your tailgate or backyard party for this TCU versus Utah game. Come check out their fresh meat. They've got a cheese counter. They've got seafood, rotisserie chicken, as well as fresh-made products at the bakery. Drinks, water, bags of ice. It's all here for you at Smith's on 9th and 9th. Stop on in and win some prizes and come and talk some football. And we'll get you ready for Utah and TCU coming up tomorrow night. Coming up around the corner, though, our good friend Porter Larson, the host of your Utah football pregame show, is going to stop by. He's going to chat with Zachariah about that Utah and TCU game that's coming up tomorrow. Want to remind you, he will be live at 4:30, live from the Smiths tailgate coming up tomorrow outside of the stadium. And he'll take you all the way up to kickoff before he throws it over to the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, alongside Scott Mitchell. So Porter Larson is coming up next right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. You're listening to Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Not quite OC here on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's his guy, Zachariah, filling in here on a feel-good football Friday on ESPN 700. Coming up at 12:45, we will do a little thing that we like to call Fun in the 40s. Wacky. Well, oh, no, that's not true. We got Lee Sterling coming up, sports betting edge expert from Paramount Sports. He will join us coming up in the next segment. But right now, it's a pleasure to be joined. You know him well, or you should know him well. He is the fine producer for the Spence Checketts show that you hear on the drive every day. And he also does some work, some pregame show work. So really, I'm pretending to be the pregame show. He's really going to be the pregame show tomorrow. He's the host of the Ute Game Day pregame show and executive producer of The Drive with Spence Checketts on Twitter at Larson_ESPN. He is Porter Larson. Porter, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Zachariah. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I got to meet you in person, but we didn't spend a ton of time together. You had some work to do. We were in the meeting together, our show meeting. I took some notes. I saw you taking some notes. But yeah, it was nice to meet you in person, and hopefully we can spend some time together next time that I'm down there. But let's talk some Ute football, shall we? Now, look, I hate to do this, but I've done it with every guest, and since you are a different guest, I need to get every guest different perspective. So I just want to
fire away.
I want to go through. I just want to go through how you took the news of Cam getting hurt, and did you go through all the stages of grief? I did that on a show on Wednesday, and we did it a little bit yesterday. But did you go through all the phases, and are you ready for acceptance and to turn the page?
Yeah, well, I tried to approach it with not the stages of grief as someone who's not actually experiencing those injuries, who's not a coach or a player on that team, right? I'm covering it. I'm just trying to react as it goes and tell the story as it goes. And for Cam, it's a super complicated process. For us, it's fairly simple. The kid's hurt. He's been hurt. Yeah. He wants to play. Yeah. There's obviously complications and different conversations now because of the money in college football, because of the NIL stuff. But if you knew Cam Rising, and I have a little bit of a unique perspective here. I work with his trainer in the offseason and work with Cam on a non-Utah football basis in certain ways. It's been a minute since I've been in that setting with him, but I've worked with Cam while he's rehabbing, right? While he's trying to get back from injury, and I'll tell you, man, there's not a lot of guys that work harder in that regard. He just wants to play. He wants to play football, and yeah, the money that he makes is great. All that's awesome. The celebrity he's built here in Salt Lake is good, but the noise that has gone on around maybe him not being available or sandbagging or whatever that may be is nonsense. Like let's be very clear, it's nonsense. That's a fringe of the Twitter sphere that is not real. And so there's a lot of these stages of grief that we're talking about and that fans go through that are just fanatical stuff, which is fine. Go through it, do it. But just hopefully you can disconnect yourself from the reality of what is not a physical sport, but a violent sport in which people will get hurt and sometimes won't be available. Obviously, it's a complicated situation with Cam, but he's a kid who really wants to play. So it's a bummer to see, but ultimately it is, in reality, time for Utah to likely turn the page and look to the future. My concern there is that Isaac Wilson, although talented, hasn't quite shown the grasp of Andy Ludwig's offense to be ready for that. Hopefully in Rice Cycle Stadium on Saturday, he can change that.
One more question about the past before we look towards the future. And I know this is delicate. I tried to ask this question as delicately as possible to Bill Riley when he joined me earlier. And I've tried to discuss it as delicately as possible because we are the home of the Utes. And obviously this is a program near and dear to the station and a part of what we do. So I don't want to make you second guess what took place on Saturday. But Porter, when I was watching that and the amount of opportunities that they had and how much Cam did not just look like Cam, right. How much did you make of the decision at halftime not to just go with Wilson there? Because clearly, I mean, Cam at 100% is your best option. Cam at 5 to 10 or 15% or whatever you want, because that was not the same Cam that I saw missing those throws. His finger was banged up,
right,
and his leg was banged up. So how much do you think the coaching staff looks back on that and thought maybe, probably should I? And I know hindsight is 20/20, but just the decision to put Cam back out there in the second half.
Well, you had the key point there, and that's hindsight 20/20, right? Looking back on it, for sure, you throw Isaac out there knowing that Cam had season-ending injury to his ankle in the third play of the game. But hindsight also tells you that if you go back to the Pac-12 championship games, Cam was playing with what was a season-ending knee injury through those USC wins, right? He shouldn't have been playing in those games. And he was through injury and ended up finding ways to grit out and win. If I were in that locker room, if I were Kyle Whittingham, if I were Cam Rising, it would be really tough for me, especially it was a one-possession game late into that one. There was very, very close opportunities where Cam did have a few good throws. The back shoulder to Dorian Singer, right? He started to kind of settle in there. It would have been really hard for me to take him out of the game, especially knowing how much Cam was campaigning to stay in the game. I understand that is the coach's decision. If I were the coach in that position, it still would have been really hard for me, knowing Cam's history, knowing the player he is, to take him out unless he said it was time to move on. And then again, I add in the factor, I don't think that Isaac has a great grasp of not necessarily the execution of the offense, but the timing, the pre-snap stuff of Andy Ludwig's offense yet. And that's really, really hampering what they can do. So I understand why they allowed Cam to grit it out, especially knowing that it might be his last stand, if you want to get philosophical about it.
Yeah, and ultimately, look, I'm never going to override the doctors, and the doctors said that he could go. They cleared him, so I'm just it was just frustrating because
he wasn't letting the doctors look at him during the game on Saturday. They cleared him to play before, but after that injury, he was kind of evasive on the sideline. He wasn't coming out of that game unless they literally pulled him off the field, and that's part of it, man. He's a warrior, but again, the Band-Aid for Utah fans, I think, has been ripped off.
Fair enough. Well, I had the pleasure, and I'll get you out of here on this. So turning the page, looking forward now, I had the pleasure of interviewing Coach Ludd. Obviously, a difficult interview on my end because it's my first time interviewing him, and he's coming off back-to-back losses. So I tried to make it as smooth as possible. Maybe one day I'll win him over. But what I tried to pry out of him, and of course he's not going to divulge what he's going to do scheme-wise, nor should he. But I'm just going to ask you, how much differently do you think? Because when I asked Bill was like, ultimately, I don't know how much of the playbook or the play calling is going to change with this transition. Bill kind of made it seem like it might be kind of the same thing, which based on the fact that they're different quarterbacks and have different levels of experience, I found a little bit surprising. But how much differently do you think Coach Ludd is going into this TCU game versus what he did when he knew Cam was going to be the starter?
Well, part of the reason I think he's going to keep the game plan relatively similar is because he was dealing with a not 100% Cam Rising. So you weren't throwing in the entirety of the playbook that we saw in the Utes Pac-12 title runs. You're throwing in different stuff. There's a heavy dose of Mekhi Bernard, who has supplanted himself as a lead back, but you're going to see a heavy dose of that same stuff, not just because Isaac Wilson is still settling in and finding his rhythm in that offense, but also because TCU can't stop the run. And I'm not being facetious there. They're like bottom 5 in the country stopping the run. They can't stop on first down. That gets them into 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and then they're like 120th in the country on third down. Their defensive prowess against the run is really, really lacking. I don't know why that is. I like Andy Avalos and a lot of the stuff he does, but he hasn't found that linebacker, elite linebacker that he usually has, and TCU's really struggled there. So the recipe, I think, is it's going to be a Kyle Whittingham Utah identity brand type of game where heavy dose of the run game, Mekhi Bernard off tackle because that's what TCU struggles with, and then Isaac Wilson's going to have to capitalize on the play action opportunities, on the few chances he does get downfield, and if they can do that, I think Utah as opportunity to have kind of a get-right game against TCU here, just based on the matchup.
Now, I know you know the biz, so you know what I'm talking about here. I would blow up the clock for you and ask you more questions because I do have more for you, but I do have a guest next. So, unfortunately, I can't blow up the clock here, but he is Porter Larson. He is the producer extraordinaire of The Drive with Spence Checketts. He's also a host of the Ute Game Day pregame show, which will be taking place tomorrow. And tonight, join Spence Checketts and Porter tonight from 5 to 7 at Overtime Cards and Collectibles. Utah Hockey Club star Logan Cooley will be on site as well. Overtime Cards and Collectibles located at 10673 South State Street in Sand. Thank you, Porter. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Zachariah.
There you go.
Good to chat with you, man.
All right. Good to chat with you, too. Sorry, I ended a little abruptly there, James, but it's got to be Sandy, right?
That's
you know
right.
me. I'm
Sandy,
Ron
Utah.
Burgundy.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm Ron Burgundy. I was just reading straight off the show sheet.
You're good. I know, especially with you not being a local around here, that I got to make sure that it's tight for you because you do need to be able to just read off the sheet. So yeah, it's Sandy, Utah. 10673 South State Street.
No, but I knew Sandy, but I was a little hesitant. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was
not a lot of Sandys in other states. So it is one of those towns. It is one of those names. You're like, are we sure that's the name of the city?
Yeah,
it is definitely the name of the city. Sandy.
Well, I just wanted to point out to the listeners. I'm usually very smooth with those transitions.
Yes.
But
no, you're all good.
Well, because if it was Berkeley, I would definitely know to go Berkeley. You know what I mean? Like, it was Sand, and I was like, because for all I know, there could be a Sand and a Sandy. But anyways, go check it out. That sounds really cool. You can go see Logan Cooley. So he's going to be live there with Spence. That's pretty cool. I mean, especially if you're a young kid that loves hockey, or you're the father of a young kid that loves hockey. I mean, go down, check it out, right? Go check out 10673 South State Street in Sandy. And go meet one of the stars. I mean, that's got to be really exciting. Think about this, James. If you're a dad in Salt Lake and you loved hockey your whole life, and you've got a young boy or girl or whatever, and obviously, fathers, parents in general try to get their kids interested in what they're interested in. Like, I don't have any kids, but I got 2 nephews and a niece, and they love the Ninja Turtles. You know why they love the Ninja Turtles? Because Uncle loved the Ninja Turtles.
And because you're a fantastic uncle. Cowabunga.
Yes, I'm actually taking them to a pumpkin patch tomorrow. I am a fantastic uncle. But the point is, I got them into what I like, which is what I think parents do. So imagine you're a hockey guy and you're whatever, in your 30s or 40s, and you've got young kids and you're getting them into hockey. This is a perfect opportunity to go meet one of their stars, Logan Cooley, and Overtime Cards and Collectibles. I'm a big – are you a card guy, James?
I'm not a big – card guy. I was a little bit when I was younger. I've kind of gotten out of it, but yeah, sports memorabilia in general, they've got cards is in the name, but the collectibles is the other pieces of sports memorabilia. I mean, who doesn't like that stuff? So
I'm huge on that.
Logan Cooley, I believe, will have some signed merchandise there that you can check out. I'm sure he's going to be signing autographs if you bring your Utah Hockey Club, your brand new Utah Hockey Club sweater or gear to the event tonight at Overtime Cards and Collectibles. I'm sure he's going to be signing stuff that you bring too. But they'll have some signed merchandise and a chance to meet Logan Cooley and Spence Checketts there tonight from 5 to 7.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. And like I said, any father out there listening, because I'm sure there's not a lot of kids. They're probably in school, so they're probably not listening to this show. But if you're a father or a mother out there and you got young kids that are into sports, specifically hockey, but really anything else, go down there and join Spence and Porter and have a good time out there. Again, it is Overtime Cards and Collectibles located at 10673 South State Street in Sandy. So go do that. Coming up next, let's talk a little gambling. Now, of course, you've got to travel to Nevada to place these bets, people. And when you do place the bets, place them very responsibly. But we will talk with Lee Sterling. He is a sports betting expert from Paramount Sports. What is he like? Huge. Have you seen the slate tomorrow? I mean, obviously the biggest game of the week is TCU at Utah. But have you seen the slate outside of that, James?
Yeah, I mean, last week was hard to beat across the nation in college football, but this is going to be another good one for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, as a Pac-12 guy, that is now the Tupac that I like to call it, although they are going to be expanding next year. I don't like all of the cannibalization of all these conferences, and I feel like it's going to move towards the NFL. They're going to have the AFC and the NFC. But what it has created, and especially with the expanded playoff, is that a lot of these games have a lot of stakes, and what you're looking at on Saturday, where you'd normally see number 1 Alabama versus unranked whatever team, like you're seeing heavy hitters go at it every week. So we will talk to Lee. What is he like this week? Let's help you get fictional dollars. Don't bet anything real. Just bet like some favors with a friend. Like I'll do your laundry if I win this bet. It doesn't have to be money. And if it is money, do it responsibly. But either way, let's just get you some bragging rights or whatever else it is with Lee Sterling. Again, sports betting expert from Paramount Sports. He's coming up next right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in, ESPN 700.
Yeah. Well, Metro Elevator's a Utes insider, so yeah, maybe just say our Utes insider, Porter Larson and Jordan Wynn, brought to you by that. Yeah, do it real quick. Both of them.
Welcome back to the program. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah filling in right here, ESPN 700. Coming up, top of the hour, we will get back to what we've been talking about all day long, getting you Utes fans back into the confidence zone, back to where you were before the season started. Put those 2 Arizona games behind you. We put up a poll. How confident are you that the Utes can make it to the Big 12 championship game? And if they do, who will they play? You got some options up there. Go ahead and vote. We will reset and give the voting results. You can do that at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports on Twitter/X. Also, the station handle at ESPN 700. It was a pleasure to speak with the one and only Porter Lawson, and he was brought to you by Metro Elevator. Do you live or work in a building with an elevator that just doesn't seem to cooperate or just loves to inconvenience you on a regular basis? Do your property or building manager a favor and tell them to call Metro Elevator, Utah's preferred vertical transportation experts. Call 801-946-7003. That's 801-946-7003. Nothing worse than when you work somewhere and the elevator doesn't work. Also, Big 12 at noon brought to you by Mountain Land Supply. Visit them at mountainlandsupply.com. Right now, let's make some fake money or real money, depending on how you do it. However you do it responsibly, people. And we will do that with Lee Sterling. He is a sports betting expert from Paramount Sports, and he's brought to you by Canyon's Edge. Canyon's Edge Sports Pub in Holiday is the place to be. With delicious food and drinks, a lively atmosphere, and every play on one of our many big screens, you just can't beat it. Located near the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon, Canyon's Edge Sports Pub, where every game day is a win. Lee, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm good. If college football is as exciting this weekend as it was last week, I mean, that game, that Oregon-Ohio State game was tremendous. And a couple weeks before that, we had Alabama, Georgia. We got another top 5 game between 2 teams that can win a national title, and then even games that no one has really even talked about. How about that comeback? The LSU Tigers come back against Ole Miss. To see Lane Kiffin be absolutely miserable on the sideline was TV gold. So, it didn't work out so well for the Utes, but different week. That's why we're fans. You get back up, and who knows? You win a game this week, you're right back in it.
100%. And you didn't even mention Penn State, USC.
Oh,
Lee, I mean,
that was my biggest play of the weekend. I had USC. Had to sweat that one out after dominating the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Lee, I've said that I don't really like the cannibalization of these conferences as a Pac-12 guy, but ultimately, I got to be honest. If it ends up turning into what I think it's going to be, which is just like the NFL, you're going to have the AFC and the NFC. You're just going to have 2 huge power conferences. As much as I hate all of that, and I loved all the traditions and the rivalries, I got to be honest, Lee, as a person from afar, when you look at these matchups and you talked about the ones that are coming up tomorrow, it's like, okay, maybe I'm okay with it, because not only is the playoff expanded, but now you get all these juggernauts playing each other every week.
Great. We're going to end up, I think, with 4 power conferences.
Okay.
16 to 20 teams, and then you'll have the other schools after that, the New Mexico States and, the schools like that, San Jose State, that'll play, I think, at a different level, and that's fine too.
Okay. All right. Well, Lee,
let's go. Those games they're entertaining. Like last night, I had a friend over, and he's like, "Oh, well, you already got Denver 1, so let's go." I had 3 TVs. He goes, "Let's put that one, another game on the main TV." I'm like, "Which one?" He goes, "I don't know. They're all 3 blowouts." And then within 5 minutes, Virginia Tech was up 28-0. It's 28-21. And then the other game, Marshall was up big, 25-0, 25-20.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Lee. It is certainly not for the faint of heart. All right, what do you like this week? Let's talk to the people. Again, anything you do it legally and do it responsibly. But what do you like this week, Lee?
All right, let's start off with the biggest game in the country. Texas, number 1 Texas versus number 5 Georgia. Texas, I think, has the best talent in the country. I just don't know what their A game looks like. They played Michigan, but Michigan, the 131st ranked pass offense. I don't even know if they're a top 25 team. Oklahoma, this might be the worst Oklahoma team in a couple decades. And then they beat a bunch of directional schools. At least I know with Georgia, when they played Clemson, what their A game looks like. They won 34-3, and they held Clemson to 188 yards of total offense. Since that time, Clemson's put up between 405 and 712 yards.
Yeah.
I just think that Georgia's back is against the wall. If they lose this game, they might be on the outside looking in and playing even in the playoffs as a top 12 seed. I'm going to go with a more desperate team here. Wrong team favored. Georgia outright 30-24.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay, because Texas is what, favored by 5?
5 points, yep.
Yeah, okay. All right. What else you like?
All right, let's look at a total. Don't normally play a whole lot of totals, but the New Mexico-Utah State game. You have two teams here play offense. The Lobos have scored 102 points the last 2 games. They got some decent talent. And Utah State's defense has allowed an average of 48.6 points per game last 5, all losses. I think this is the highest total I've seen so far this year, 78. I have New Mexico winning this game 65-61. Defense is optional.
Come on. That's a basketball score, Lee.
It's going to be back and forth. I'm telling you, these kids just don't know how to tackle, cover, nothing.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to tune into that game just to see. I mean, if it's that score, that's going to be the most entertaining college football game I've ever seen. All right, what else is on the docket?
I said, yep, you hit it right. It's going to be entertaining. All right, let's keep moving on. Let's go to the BYU game. They're laying 10 points taking on Oklahoma State. This is what's crazy. Oklahoma State returned every single offensive lineman, including the 2 swing guys, the guys that come in if anyone's hurt. So last year, Oklahoma State running the football averaged 4.8 yards per carry. I had a running back named Ollie Gordon. A lot of people from
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he only scored 21 touchdowns, ran for 1,732 yards. He even caught another touchdown and caught passes for 330. Done nothing.
So what happened, Lee? What happened?
No injuries. No one can. It doesn't make sense. They're even deciding between any one of 3 quarterbacks who's going to play. Those are the negatives. But Mike Gundy, 15-10 against the spread as a road underdog. I think the line may just be getting a little bit too high here. I think BYU wins this game 30-24. I'm going to say Oklahoma State covers.
Very interesting. All right, well, let's get one that's near and dear to here.
Right.
I didn't even mean to rhyme all 3 of those, but near and dear to here, Utah at home. Now, they say that when you're at home, you get a field goal, correctly? Right. I'm not a sports betting expert like you, but I know that. So they get that for being at home, and they get 1 point. What do you like here in this game?
So I think the team, we might see a good effort here. I still think they have underperformed. Now that we know Cam Rising's not going to play, they know what they're going to go with. They'll have, I think, better game plans here. And Utah run defense isn't collapsing, but it's not locking down either. Off 2 losses, the run D catches, I think, a break. TCU's rushing offense ranked 120th coming into Rice-Eccles. And sometimes it's not who you play, it's the matchup between the 2 teams here. TCU has somehow found ways to average 33 points a game here, but I would think that their biggest problem is they don't tackle well on defense and also ball security. They're in the bottom 15 in those 2 categories. Utah, 30-23. They win and cover.
Win and cover. I also love the over in this one.
Yeah.
I was just throwing that out there. I said that to Bill, and Bill was like, yeah. I mean, I think TCU's defense is atrocious. There's going to be a lot made about Cam going out and Isaac coming in, but I think that's perfect for a young quarterback, and they've got tons of weapons at both wide receiver, tight end, and Mekhi Bernard has stepped up, and I think TCU's got a good offense, and Utah's defense has been kind of underwhelming. So I love the over, and I don't even know what the over is, Lee.
All right, so the over on that game is right now, let's just check, still sitting 49 points.
Yeah.
All we need is a 26-24, 30-24 score. It goes over.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a couple more for us here? I'm looking at the show sheet.
Let's look at the NFL. Let's look at the San Francisco-Kansas City game.
Are you doing that because I'm a Bay Area guy, Lee? Did they put you up to this?
They did. All right, so here's what's going on in this game.
Yeah.
San Francisco is the favorite by 1.5. People love the revenge angle. Revenge Super Bowl. So it worked in college football. Washington got the revenge against Michigan. Now they got to face Kansas City. Andy Reid, ready for his record, coming off a bye, 21-3. Patrick Mahomes, 13-3-1 as an underdog since coming to the NFL, 2018. Everyone talks about like the Bears defense this year, getting all those takeaways. Still, Kansas City has the best defense. They just lock down. And I think the biggest problem for San Francisco in this game, they're down to the third running back. Difference between number 1 and number 3, McCaffrey, is huge. Hate to say it. I'm going to let you down easy. Kansas City, 30-17.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So because you led with the revenge part. So, and I was actually surprised. I don't know if you saw the quotes out of Shanahan this week, but I was surprised to him actually talk about it and like how they can't let it get into their head about the past, that those games have nothing to do
about it. They were asking left and right. I mean, if you didn't want to answer it, it's like someone being taken in on a murder charge and says they want to talk to their attorney.
Well, I'm looking at my show sheet, and it says also game of the week, UNLV -7.5 versus Oregon State. Is that your lock?
Yeah, that's my game of the week. They want to get it for free. All they need to do is call 800-400-9741. We will give them that game, the UNLV game. Should be a great game. How about this? The look-ahead line in that game against Oregon State, UNLV, before the year, Oregon State was the 7-point favorite. So since the beginning of the year to now, the perception of how good these two teams are has flopped 14 points. So you want
14 and a half flip?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, give the number to the people one more time.
Yeah, all they need to do is call the number 800-400-9741 and go to the website. We have a bunch of videos up there, some other great games going on around the country. Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Arkansas, and my Miami Hurricanes against Louisville. Great games all day long tomorrow. Check out those videos, all the specials, ParamountSports.com.
ParamountSports.com. He is Lee Sterling, sports betting expert. Pleasure talking with you. I can't wait to watch that 100 billion point Mexican Utah State game.
Me too. Take care. Have a good day.
All right, there you go. Lee Sterling right there. And now let's check in with our guy before we get to the third and final hour of the program. My guy, Bryce Larson, holding it down over at Smith's at 875 East 800 South in Salt Lake City. Bryce, how are you, my friend? Give me a little feedback on the atmosphere out there.
Hey, it's going really well out here. I've had multiple listeners come in and tell me their predictions for some Big 12 championship games. You won't believe it. A lot of predictions coming in of a Holy War rematch between BYU and Utah in the Big 12 championship game. I've got multiple answers.
Be something?
It would be the Holy War of the century. Look, there was a Las Vegas Bowl back in, 2015 between BYU and Utah. Went Utah's way. A lot of hype around that renewal of the Holy War. There's going to be a lot of hype about it this, first time around this year with the bye week in front of it and BYU and Utah facing off there. Could you imagine if those two teams met up in the Big 12 championship game?
Oh, Bryce, I mean, that would be – I can't – no, I can't. And I can't imagine how expensive flights would be from Utah to Texas because of how many BYU and Utah fans would go down there. Yeah, that would be epic. We haven't even talked about that. We will do that at the top of the hour. But in the meantime, tell the people, Bryce, why they should come down there and weigh in on that poll as you are live at Smith's.
Absolutely. Look, we've got to run on these tailgate passes. I only have 3 pairs of tailgate passes left, so if you're thinking about coming down and checking it out, you better get here at the Smiths on 9th and 9th. Smiths has all you need for tomorrow's tailgate. If you're deciding to do something at home or whether you come and pick up one of these 2 tailgate passes, grab whatever you need from the local Smiths right here on 9th and 9th. They've got rotisserie chicken. They've got the fresh meat. They've got everything that you need, drinks, water, bags of ice. It's all right here at Smith's on 9th and 9th. When you get to the store, you got to come all the way to the back towards the produce section. That's where I'm hanging out. We're chilling back here, and you can come and tell me your prediction for the Big 12 championship matchup. What's going to happen should Utah get there, or if any other teams are going to be in the Big 12 conference championship game, and you'll win yourself a pair of tailgate passes that I have here. I also have a pair of our own ESPN 700 Ultimate tailgate passes. That's brought to you by our friends over at Postnet, so make sure you come on down and say what's up and enter in to win the Pacifico cooler valued at about $200. This thing is super, super nice. You can take it anywhere you go. It's a mobile cooler. Come on down, all brought to you by our friends here at Smith's. Coming up around the corner, we'll rehash a couple of these polls that we put out for you over at ESPN 700 on Twitter. Besides help from other teams, what needs to happen for Utah to make it into the Big 12 championship? We'll talk about that and more next right here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
No, you got him. You got him in. Yeah, that is other remote. Yeah, he's doing one for his show and then right after his show. He's busy. Yeah. Bryce says he can preview the BYU game with you here for a few minutes if you want to. We have like 3 minutes. Can go a little longer with the back and forth with him on the BYU game if you want. It is a morning show on the other stations outside of BYU. Our other station.
Welcome back to the program. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. 2 hours in the books. 1 more to go. It has just flown by right here. Zachariah filling in 90 ESPN 700. James, we thought this was going to be a long show. The show's gone quickly for me, friend.
Oh, yeah. It absolutely has. It completely flown by. And excited it has, it means we're having a great time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They say time flies when you're having fun, and that's exactly what's been going on now. I'm almost like, at first I was like, how, scrambling, fill in, call from the bullpen, got to do 3 hours, and now I'm like, I could do like 3 more. Not that you want me to do it, but I'm just saying, I'm surprised that this is our final hour, but we have a great final hour for you, and we're going to start the final hour with the way that we began the first hour, and it's basically trying to get all of you guys pumped. I spent Wednesday dealing with a little bit of the grief that OC did on Monday and Tuesday. It was a little bit of a transitional day, which is perfect for Wednesday because it's smack dab in the middle of your week. Then on Thursday, we tried to put more of that in the back burner, and we started to turn the page and have points of positivity. And now here we are on Friday, game day eve, and it's time to take down those darn frogs. I'm just calling them frogs. You can call them horned frogs. You can call them whatever you want, but it's time to take them down. And James, our beloved program director over at ESPN 700, is going to make headlines when he coins the frogs down, horned frogs down. He wants, I guess it's the peace sign, and then you crease your fingers, and then they put them like that. We're going to put them down. We're going to flip those bad boys.
Horned frogs down tomorrow night at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Utah needs everyone needs a reason for optimism. So Horned Frogs down all over the stadium, and hopefully Utah, kicks some butt tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're listening,
Lee Sterling had it. What do you say? 30-23 is his final score prediction. Utah winning. Yeah,
that made me feel good.
That would make you feel good because it'd be the first time this year against an FBS opponent that Utah has scored over 30 points. So there's that. Would be nice. 30 points or more. So there's that. Make you feel a lot better about the offense if they can get to the big 3-0. But why stop at 30, and why stop at only holding them to 23 points? Like, let's make it even more of a statement win and Horned Frogs down all over the stadium. Let's go.
Absolutely. And I think what I'm going to do is, James, after the show's over, I'm going to take a picture of what I think is what you're talking about with the Horned Frogs down, and then I just want you to retweet it on the station account. And if you're listening right now and you're going to the game, or even if you know somebody that's going to the game, we're going to get this movement going, because my goal tomorrow, James, is that at some point during the game, either the Utah Twitter account or somebody's Twitter account, somebody shows a picture of a bunch of people in the stands doing the Horned Frogs down. I think you got something going here, James. I just want to let you know, if the feedback for all of this is negative, it was all your idea. If the feedback for this is positive, it was
You're going to steal it from me? Oh, okay.
No,
I thought you were going to say you're going to steal it from me. I was about to throw hands with you here.
No. I will co-sign if it's good, and I am removing myself if it's bad. I don't need any more negative pub. You know what I mean? So
fair
anyways,
enough. I just texted you what Horned Frogs down would look like.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to recreate it, and I'll text OC. I know he's busy out there, but I'm going to get him to do it, and maybe we'll get some other people to do it, and we'll take pictures.
We did get Porter to do it. Porter and Spence. Maybe Spence can do it a lot at the remote today, at both of his remotes. Bryce has got to be doing it at Smith's. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, in fact, you demand that from him. And yes, we got to get this thing going. And I'm telling you how sweet it will be if the Twitter account for Utah Utes shows a bunch of rabid Utah fans all doing the Horned Frogs down. I'm telling you, we're going to get something going. But before we do all that, at the bottom of this hour, we're going to go what I used to like to call behind enemy lines with Nolan Ruth, TCU insider for KillerFrogs.com. Killer Frogs. When's the last time? Well, the poisonous ones. Outside of the poisonous ones, a frog ain't killing nobody, James.
Agreed. Not that so there's not that many killer frogs, but if you have a publication catering to TCU fans, I mean, Killer Frogs is a pretty good name. It's a pretty killer name.
I know. But James, this is the second day in a row where we're giving credence, and like we said that the retweet was pretty witty and pretty good. We can't do that. We've got to stay firm.
You're right.
We got to stay firm that Killer
Frogs is lame.
Yeah. Side note, James, I totally agree. Killer Frogs is pretty badass. But
Nolan, if you're listening, please still join us. But we're just to save face with our listeners here. We're gonna call the name of your site lame. Okay?
Yeah.
Killer Frogs is lame. It's really cool. Yep. It's super lame though.
100%. All right. Well, let's reset because again, change your mentality. Okay. And I want Utah. Look, again, I feel like I'm even insulting you to ask you to come out and be and show up and show out like I know you always do, because I know you're going to do it. So I don't even want to insult you by requesting it / demanding it / pining for it. But based on the week that we've had, some people would be able to understand or give you a little bit of a pass that you're not as gung-ho as you normally would be. But that's what we're here for. Never underestimate the power of the radio airwaves, James. And just like we're going to get the Horned Frog down, we're also going to get everybody fired up. Treat tomorrow like it's game one. Don't treat it like you've lost back-to-back weeks, because as we've talked about, James and I, we are moving forward, and Bill told you, don't listen to me. You don't have to listen to me. You may not like me. You may not want to listen to me, but you're going to listen to Bill Riley. And he's been the voice on this station and calling the games for 2 decades. So you don't have to listen to me. Listen to him. He said he thinks there's going to be a 2-loss team in the championship. He said for damn sure there's not going to be an undefeated team in that championship game. And it could be 2 1-loss teams or 2 2-loss teams. He thinks that this conference is going to eat itself. And so what that means for you Utah fans is that all is not lost. And it starts tomorrow with those darn frogs. So let's go. Let's get excited. And our poll question, which got off to a rocky start. I saw some good replies since then. But, James, let's face it. The first response was, are you kidding me? This is crazy talk. Can we focus on tomorrow? We are focused on tomorrow.
It all starts with tomorrow. But, hey, yes, if they take care of business, if they win out, they still could be in the Big 12 championship game. So we're going with optimism here. Also, as I said in my response from the station account, it's just it's a lot more boring to say who do you think is going to be in the Big 12 championship game. We're trying to make it a little more exciting for Utah fans, saying, hey, Utah's in, who are they going to play?
Yeah, that's our job is to entertain.
Yeah, so
there's that. Are you not entertained?
Yeah. You get that drop. Are you not entertained? Do you want me to update the results real quick?
Oh, yeah, I was going to do it, but go ahead.
Iowa State at 43% makes a lot of sense. BYU at 33%. And then Kansas State at 13.5%, and Texas Tech just over 11%. That's the those are the polls. So that makes a lot of sense. The 2 remaining undefeated teams overall. Texas Tech is undefeated in conference, but overall undefeated teams, leaders in the clubhouse. We heard Bryce just tell us that lots of people, the biggest response he's getting from listeners who are showing up at the Smiths tailgate remote is Utah BYU, a second Holy War game. Someone else in the comments said 2 Holy War games would be cinematic, and I absolutely agree. That I don't know if this state can handle 2 in 1 year. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it'd be epic. if that happened, for sure. Not getting a ton of responses to our other one. What needs to happen for Utah to win the Big 12 championship game, other than we did have one say the obvious, they've got to win out. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But
it's win out. Yeah, I mean, it's win out, but as much as I don't want to talk about it, it's win out with a little help. But again, Bill sounded very confident in his response that he does not see this getting ran away with anybody, whether it's any of the undefeated teams, Iowa State, BYU, Texas Tech, like none of those teams does he see running away with the conference. He thinks there's going to be losses across the board. And think about how we're still really early on in the season, and we touched on this a little bit last week, where it's like, if you're going to have your little slump or you're going to have your little bumps in the road, you'd rather have them early than late. So now that we have a clean, fresh canvas, James, and we know now that Isaac will look, and this is why I'm so shocked. Just real quickly, I want to go back. Forgive me here. I'm going to filibuster just a little bit because I want to go back to the poll from yesterday. And you and I being really surprised about the results from it, because you and I both chose the same thing, which was coaching will get us through. That ended up, I don't know if the poll's closed yet. Again, you can vote at Zach Sports, ZAK Sports, or at ESPN 700. But coaching will get us through finished last at 9%. Yeah. Defense will carry us was above that at 16%. Isaac Wilson will be the truth, finished in second at 33%. And the triplets, as I like to call it, Mackay, Keithy, and Stinger finished in first place at 42%, which I said yesterday, James, that gives me more confidence. The fact that I didn't think it was going to be that, and that's what it got voted for. That was my last choice that I put on there, and it got the most votes. And I honestly thought Isaac Wilson would be second, and it finished second. But then I thought coaching, look, if you guys are sleeping on the coaching, then I'm telling you, that's a good thing for Utah, because that is the last thing that I'm worried about. I don't know much about these coaches. I've only had the pleasure of interviewing. If we're just talking coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator, I've only personally had a chance to interview one, but I have listened to them anytime I get a chance. And this is a chance to plug the app. Go download the ESPN 700 app and go check out ESPN700sports.com. They do a great job of you being able to find exactly what you want, listen to who you want, what parts of what hours that you want. We got a lot of great content on this station, so make sure you go check all that stuff out. But I'm telling you this, if that's your biggest worry, then you're in a good spot. If your biggest worry is the coaching staff, I know that they are probably just chomping at the bit to get to the next game, because they know that what they've shown over the past 2 weeks is not a reflection of who they are. I'll tell you that right now, James.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm totally with you. If that's the least of your concerns, they're in a lot better shape than it appears to be. Some mixed responses on the text line. No one's actually responding specifically to the polls, but some good texts we've been getting in here too. The Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. One of our texts says, each Pac-12 championship year we had 2 losses. I'm optimistic now that the quarterback drama is done. Go Utes. So there
you go.
Then we had kind of the opposite direction. I would love to move on and get excited. However, dog, I lost all confidence in this coaching staff. I'm in a believe it. I'm going to believe it when I see it mode at this point. With the way the team has been, he's got guys puking emoji and sick face emoji. The Utes won't even. He also added the Utes won't even come close to sniffing a title with this offensive coaching staff and a freshman quarterback. So the opposite end there, and then kind of a funny one. I don't know if you saw this, Zachariah. Scott Mitchell was supposed to host the show today. He woke up super sick. He's going to heal up and make sure he's ready to do the game call tomorrow.
Yeah, get better
with Bill Riley.
Scotty, if you're listening, as you affectionately allow me to call you, Scotty, if you're listening, get soon, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Get well soon. Heal up so you can be on the call tomorrow with Bill Riley. But he says Scott Mitchell equals Cam Rising, Zachariah equals Isaac Wilson. How do you feel about that, Zachariah?
I don't. I don't know how to take that. That's fine. Yeah, you know what? I will take on the responsibility of being Isaac Wills. Now I'm really going to be rooting for him tomorrow, James. Because I will go back to that text. I haven't had a chance to pull up the text line, but yeah, I will get back to that. Again, yeah, you can always call in or text in as we wrap up the show, final half hour of the show. 877-353-0700 is the Dish Pros text line and the phone line where you can call in. And so what do you got on the results, sir?
We only had choices on the who will Utah play in the Big 12 championship game if we say they make it. I didn't put the choices there, so the results are still Iowa State at about 43% leading the way.
Got it. Okay. Well, let's go out to Bryce Larson, who is live at Smith's at 875 East, 800 South in Salt Lake City. Bryce, I hear you want to talk some BYU, Oklahoma State. That was one of my biggest, I don't know how much you listen to our program, Bryce, but James and I coined the phrase fractions of concern or asterisks of concern. I had Oklahoma State on the road as one of the bigger ones there, and now they've kind of fallen off the cliff. There's three options at quarterback. What do you make about this game? Obviously, BYU has been a shocker so far this year.
Yeah, I was talking with a couple Oklahoma State insiders over on my program on our sister station, ESPN 960, and it sounds like Garrett Rangel is going to be able to get the start for Oklahoma State later on tonight against BYU. Could it be a trap game for the Cougars, looking forward to maybe a trip to Orlando at UCF? Or, hey, Utah's on the horizon. There is a bye week in between, but they're not too far in the near future. You got to make sure you show up if you're BYU later on tonight. But Oklahoma State, with everything that they have, you don't know what you're going to get in a new quarterback starting for the Cowboys later on tonight. Could be a trap game for the Cougars at LaVell Edwards Stadium later on tonight, Zachariah.
Let me ask you this before you tell the people what's going on at Smith's. BYU, I'm not going to say that they got lucky early on, but there were some games that very much could have went one way or the other, and one of their coaches said, look, the ball bounced our way every time, so we haven't necessarily played as good as we've looked. Certainly over the past couple of weeks, they've looked a lot more convincing. Which of those two sides of the coin do you see BYU looking like as we get later towards the season?
Well, so far in the last couple of weeks, it looks like they've improved, especially with Jake Retzlaff, the quarterback, who last year continually turned the ball over and over again. You saw that replay on the goal line against Oklahoma, threw that interception that went 99 yards the other way for a touchdown, turned it over against Oklahoma State multiple times to send it into overtime in that game as well. There was a lot of things that went wrong. The best thing about this BYU team right now is that Jake Retzlaff isn't turning the football over, and that's led to their success. If he can continue to do that, they've improved everywhere else on that team. I think that they are probably getting to that point where they're a legitimate threat in the Big 12 Conference, and you can't really question them anymore. That doesn't mean that the Big 12 isn't still the Conference of Chaos. That's what I've called it all season long. We had no idea what's been going on all year long. It's the Conference of Chaos. Anything could happen later tonight.
All right, well, go join my boy Bryce down there. Give him some dap. More importantly, go there, weigh in on the poll, just make it clear that you've been listening to the show, and guess what? He's probably going to give you a bunch of cool stuff. He is live at Smith's at 875 East, 800 South in Salt Lake City. By the way, Bryce, I'm going to ask in the commercial break to James, I'm going to ask him if I'm eligible for any of the stuff that you're giving away, but tell the people why they should come see you.
That's exactly right. Come on down. I still have some tailgate passes for Utah and TCU coming up tomorrow. The Smiths tailgate. If you come and tell me your answer to the poll that we threw out there over at ESPN 700 on Twitter, I'll get you hooked up with some ESPN 700 Ultimate tailgate passes as well as our Smiths tailgate pass. You can also come in and enter to win the Pacifico Cooler right here at Smith's on 9th and 9th. You got to come into the store all the way to the back towards the produce section. You'll see me hanging out back here. Let's talk some football. Let's talk about everything going on with the University of Utah, Isaac Wilson, and everything else. Speaking of which, that game coming up tomorrow night, you can check out Porter Larson on the pregame show at 4:30. Coming up around the corner, though, Zachariah is going to go behind enemy lines in a Know the Foe segment coming up at 1:30 or so. Right around the corner, TCU insider Nolan Ruth joins the show to give us a scouting report on the Horned Frogs and more. That's next right here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Sweet home, Alabama. Sweet home, Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome back to the program. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah holding it down right here. ESPN 700. Coming up in about 15 minutes. We call it fun in the 40s, fun in the 50s, depending on what the time is. But it's where I like to go around the world of sports, get some stuff off of my chest. And there's a bunch that we have not gone to because this show has just flown by. We'll also update the poll, give you some results on that at Zach Sports on Twitter or X, ZAK Sports, and also at ESPN 700. But right now, back when I had my own show, when I was doing my own thing, when we talked to people against the opponent that was coming up, I like to call it going behind enemy lines. And we will do that now with Nolan Ruth, TCU insider for KillerFrogs.com. Follow him on Twitter at Real Nolan Ruth or the KillerFrogs.com Twitter handle at @killer_frogs. Nolan, I would say it's nice to join you, but we are not friends. So I will just say welcome to the show.
Thanks, Zachariah. I appreciate it. Hey, I got to say real quick, I was listening in. I really like how Bryce said the conference of chaos for the Big 12, because that's quite literally what it's been this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I think Utah and certainly TCU would look at it like that, but not the teams that are undefeated in the conference. But let's just start there. You're gonna give me my first question for free. Do you think this is going to end up being a conference title game that features teams with 1 or 2 losses?
I think it very well could be. I think probably the most likely scenario is, again, I was listening in this tonight against Oklahoma State could be a trap game for BYU. So this could be the one that trips them up. I'm still not quite certain what I think about Iowa State. They're one of those teams that will run the table for a while and then lose a game that you don't think they're supposed to. So I very well think this we could have a one-loss conference champion.
Now, when you look at this game, and again, anybody that gambles, make sure you do it legally and make sure that you do it responsibly. But I can't help but think, and I had a gambling insider on earlier, and I don't even know what the over-under is, but just speculating, I would bet the over on this. Utah's defense has not looked great. Part of that is because the offense has not looked great, so it's put pressure on Utah's defense. And TCU's offense has looked promising, and their defense has looked a little suspect. Going into this game, are you expecting a shootout?
Without a doubt. I've had my concerns about TCU all season on the defensive side of the ball, and I know they had multiple turnovers against SMU, and that never helps. But the defense for TCU really has not been able to do what they want to. Look at the second half against UCF when KJ Jefferson just ran and threw all over them. The defense couldn't come up with a single stop in that second half. And then look back to 2 weeks ago when they gave up 30 to Houston. That should not happen. So I definitely don't think TCU's defense is where they want it to be. And same with Utah. Watching Utah the past couple weeks, I think this could definitely be a shootout.
Nolan Ruth, TCU insider for KillerFrogs.com, joins me, the Big 12 insider, brought to you by Larry H. Miller Ford Draper, the Ford King. Nolan, okay, looking at this game, you tell me. I've got the pulse on the Ute fan base and what's going on with them and the injuries and obviously transitioning from the quarterback. But you tell me what it's going on like in the TCU fan base. How is the organization, the players, the coaches, how is the fan base feeling going into this game, as I think they're like 4-point dogs?
It's not positive. I'll say that. TCU fans are really looking to Sonny Dykes to try to turn something around here, but anytime, we ask about what's going on, he just wants to say that we had the best week of practice that we've had all season. And so apparently the Horned Frogs are winning at practice. They're just not getting it done on the field. So the overall feeling is not great around Fort Worth right now, unfortunately. But I will say we get 3 key pieces back from injury, including Shad Banks on the defensive side of the ball, who I think could make a big impact. But the biggest thing for TCU is that, and the biggest complaint that I hear is that we can't stop the run and we can't run the ball either. And when you can't do either of those things, you're not going to win many football games.
Well, that's bad news for you, because over here in Salt Lake, Mekhi Bernard has really established himself as the go-to back. And so that's actually good news for them. Now, give us some bad news. If Utah was to be weary and fearful of this game, what on the TCU side of things should Utah be afraid of?
I think Josh Hoover is very underrated. You look at his completion percentages and his yardage, and his stats are up there. For me, the play calling is probably the biggest problem with the offense. I'm not the biggest fan of Kendall Briles and what he's been calling in these games, but Hoover has proven that he can get it done whenever he is given time in the pocket to step up and throw. And I will say this as well. TCU is a weapon that hasn't quite gotten to be seen yet this year. They've got a third-string quarterback named Hoss Haney, and this is one of the fastest kids I've ever seen. And if they decide to go option, it hasn't been run a lot, but Utah might want to look out for that, because if you let Hoss Haney get to the second level on a quarterback option, he'll make you pay for it.
All right, there you go. Well, it should be an interesting game. Look, anytime you have a spread at 4, it's not going to be a blowout on one side or the other. I'm trying to rally the Ute fans out here, and I'm sure you're trying to do the same on your side. Nolan Ruth, you can check out his stuff at KillerFrogs.com. By the way, Nolan, James and my producer and I were talking about this. We can't say it out loud on the airwaves. That's actually like a really tight name. But as far as we're concerned, that's a corny, terrible name. KillerFrogs.com, on Twitter at @killer_frogs, and then follow Nolan at Real Nolan Ruth. Nolan, appreciate your time. Enjoy the game, but I got to say it. Horned Frogs down, and go Utes.
Hey, appreciate you, Zachariah. Pleasure's all on this side of the table.
There you go. Nolan Ruth, everybody. Had to throw it in there, James. I mean, here's the thing.
Hey, he laughed. He laughed. I think that means let's go for it.
Yeah, but it was one of those TV laughs when you watch like those daily talk shows and it's like
yeah, could have been a canned one.
Yeah. See, I'm incapable. That's one of my flaws, but also I think one of my good characteristics. I'm incapable of the fake anything. You know exactly how I feel based on how I sound and how I look. And so, like, I can't really do the fake laugh. Like, I'm going to try right now. I mean, you can totally tell that's fake.
I can tell that's fake. Yeah, and that's what I've gathered from we've now had quite a few interactions, but still not a ton face-to-face. I've gathered that about you. You are a very genuine guy. Leave your emotions on your sleeve, wear your emotions on your sleeve kind of guy, which I think that's one of the things that people can appreciate about you, man. And I think it comes through on the radio too really well.
Yeah, well, it's either redeemable or deplorable, depending on how you ask. That's why I've always said,
or depending on the mood you're in, I suppose.
No, it's not that. It's just some people either really like the genuineness and that you're upfront and you speak your mind, and then some people really don't. And you can see that from the text line.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That, like my insults are really insulting, and my compliments are really complimentary.
Really
I'm
sincere.
okay. I just try to live my life. You know what I mean? I just try to be me and, take the repercussions or the good stuff as they come. But a guy that is not as polarizing as me is Spence Checketts, and you need to join him for the drive at the Intermountain Snowmobile Expo today at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. The Intermountain Snowmobile Expo is presented by Snow West and Karl Malone Power Sports. Ticket info at snowwest.com. That's snow without a W /Utah. All new snowmobile models, snow bikes, sled decks, and selection of trailers to haul all the gear, seminars on safety, advanced. But James, you need to be going to this.
I know, man. This is
James. We got to get you. Types of gear, including boots, helmets, jackets, goggles, glasses, and more. Where to go to find the best snow for all types of winter activity. 2 huge days starting today and continuing all day tomorrow at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. Go down there before the game, before you get your tailgate and your pregame on. Go down there, lock up, load up on all the stuff that you need for your snow adventures in the winter. James, we talked about this yesterday. I feel like this is your opportunity.
Yeah. This really is. I'm going to have to go down there after the show, hang out with Spence today. And Nolan Ruth, by the way, was our Big 12 Insider brought to you by Larry H. Miller Ford Draper. They're the Ford King. So appreciate their support and sponsoring the Big 12 Insider interview. Yeah, no, I'm going to have to head down there after the show for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, the coolest part to me, because I don't consider I don't know all the levels. I don't do the bunny slopes. I don't do the black diamond, which is the hardest. I believe I do the blue square or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the colors and the shapes, but I'm not a great skier, but I'm a decent enough skier. But the cool part about this is the seminars part, especially for a guy like you. I mean, because believe me, safety, I'm usually not the most paranoid guy about safety, but it gets very scary in the snow, and especially when I was snowboarding and didn't know how to stop going down a hill. So I think the cool part about that is all the seminars and stuff that you can do. So anyways, go down, check out go down there just to check out Spence Checketts, but then stay for all the great stuff that the Snowmobile Expo will bring to you at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. Do that today. You'd be smart to do it. I would do it if I was down there. Specifically, I would go for the seminars because I feel like there's some things that you can learn on the safety part. And especially for a novice like you, I'm telling you, James, this is your opportunity.
I know.
To get it started.
You called me out. You almost called me a fake Utah for not saying
no.
I've only been skiing. I admitted I've only been skiing one time, but I grew up in a different part of the state where snow is a little bit of a foreign object down in St. George area, southern Utah. So that's part of it. But that being said, I had plenty of friends growing up because it's only about a 45 to an hour drive to the nearest ski resort, and that plenty of friends growing up that went to that one. But it just wasn't something my family did all that much. So
no, I got you.
But this is an opportunity for someone like me if I wanted to get back, if I wanted to get into it, and I think I do. Head on out there and check all this stuff out at the Intermountain Snowmobile Expo for sure.
100%, and especially when you have a significant other, it's something cool to do together. So
fun date. Not really night skiing.
Well,
I guess they do night skiing, but it's more of a daytime activity, right?
Date weekend. Call it a date weekend.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. All right, coming up next, it is the final segment of the show. It is time for Fun in the 40s / Fun in the 50s. There's a couple of topics that I wanted to get to around the world of sports that we have not gotten to yet, plus topical trivia. I think I've got a layup. We'll discuss it in the commercial break, James. I think my question might be a layup, but you had to have been listening in order to win our fantastic prize, which is the delicious 2 Jersey Mike's gift cards. Yes, the gift cards are delicious. Even just the gift cards. Now, you want to use them to get sandwiches, but even the gift cards are delicious. So I think I have a softball for you, and if you've been paying attention at all, I think that you're going to be able to get it, but maybe James has a fastball for you. As the baseball playoffs are heating up, maybe he wants to throw you a slurve or a cutter. I don't know. We'll see. Mine is going to be a softball. I'm just going to lob it up to you if James goes with mine. But we'll do all of that next, including Fun in the 40s and the 50s, right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Zachariah holding it down right here, ESPN 700.
What's up? Oh, cool. Yeah, my bad. I wasn't paying that close attention. No, that's good. I like that.
welcome back to the program. You heard the big voice, man. It is the Sean O'Connell Show. His guy, Zachariah, holding it down right here. ESPN 700 coming up at the top of the hour. You know what it is. It's The Drive with Spence Checketts. Make sure you lock in for the entire show and follow him to all the cool stuff that he's doing. That's what you should be doing with your Friday. Take off work early. Tell your boss, I got to go see Spence. You know what I mean? And I want to go watch his show live. I want to shake his hand, give him a dab, take a picture, do all that good stuff. So that's coming up at the top of the hour. But right now, it is time for topical trivia. We do this every show. We ask you a question, which really all we're asking you to do is listen to the show. So if you listen to the show, then you can win some cool prizes. In this instance, it's something that old people need, young people need, men need, women need. Everybody needs what this is, the gift. It's 2 Jersey Mike's gift cards. And here's the question that you got to answer. I asked producer extraordinaire James Peterson in the break. I said, is this too much of a softball? Because I thought maybe he wanted to throw you a fastball or a slurve or a slider. They've got like 17 different names for pitches now. Did you notice that, James?
There's how about the sweeper?
There's like a sweeper. There's like a
sweeper, which is just basically a slider. But
yeah, I mean, they're all
sweepers now.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of the same thing, but they throw different names. There's like a flutter, which is like I don't even know, like a forkball and a cutter combined or something. Anyways, he said no, the softball's fine. I think he underestimates your ability to get this because I think it's super easy. And he's like, no, you know what? That's a decent question. So our guy, Bryce Larson, who's been holding it down all day, live at Smith's at 875 East 800 South in Salt Lake City, he coined a phrase for the Big 12. The first one to text in to 877-353-0700. Again, text in on the Dish Pros text line, 877-353-0700. What did Bryce call the Big 12 as we are in the inaugural season of Utah being in the Big 12? What did Bryce call it? Because I liked it. Might steal it. It had alliteration. You know how big I am on alliteration, James. It had alliteration, had a little swag to it. But what did he call it?
So this
first one to text in win.
This time you're gonna outright steal. You're not gonna co-own it.
No, because this one's not controversial.
Okay, all right. The horn frog down, way too controversial. You're right.
Well, James, you're the one that talked about it. Conferences they're refining teams for the horn downs. I can't have that. I'm trying to establish myself. Yeah, I'm trying to establish myself at ESPN 700, not get punished. You know what I'm saying? But again, if it goes off like gangbusters and everybody loves it, I was right there by your side, buddy. Isn't that just the worst friend?
Fair enough.
I'll have your back if it goes well, and if it doesn't, I'm going to abandon you.
Fair enough.
Where I'm at. All right, time for a little fun in the 40s before we get on out of here. James, I want to ask you this. You are how old, James? James, did I lose you?
I am 32.
Well, 32. Okay, so I got about a little less than a decade on you. Do you watch SNL?
Not a ton. Mostly clips. I don't watch the whole show much.
Okay. It used to be appointment viewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do watch it. I mean, I don't. Yeah, so I watch it here and there. I wouldn't say that I'm a loyal viewer of the program, but I mean, my favorite segment of it is the weekly update or the weekend update with Colin Jost and Michael Che. Colin Jost very famously married Scarlett Johansson. And they attended the Mets-Dodgers game last night in New York. Now, Colin is a Mets fan, so he showed up with a Mets hat. Scarlett Johansson is known for being a Yankees fan. So what does a married couple do in that instance? You're going to a Mets game, not a Yankees game. And even though it's your husband and you love your husband, you are loyal to your team. So listen to how genius this was, James.
I'm ready.
She wore... I don't know how familiar you are with New York or the East Coast or museums or anything, but there's this little place called the Met, which is very famous in New York. So what she did was, how smart is that? She wore the Met hat. So it's just the hat from the museum, but she wore it. So it's in Yankees colors. I mean, what a genius move by this woman.
That's a great way to navigate that.
That is, I mean, I can't tell you how shrewd that is. That is telling the world in the colors that you're a Yankees fan. It is having the Met on there showing support for your husband. I mean, that's the ultimate solution. I can't even think of a better way to go about doing it. If she wore Mets gear, she would have got crucified because they'd say you're supposed to be a Yankee fan. Why are you wearing Mets gear? If she had worn Yankees gear, they would have crushed her and said, this is a Mets game and your husband likes the Mets. What are you doing? But she found the perfect thing, the Met museum hat in Yankees colors. So I just want to say kudos and shout out to Scarlett Johansson because I thought that was fantastic. Also, there was a huge buzz about this guy wearing a cowboy hat. I watched the game and I mean, I don't even know if I noticed it, but like he went viral and they went crazy just because a guy was wearing a cowboy hat in New York. I mean, I guess isn't there a naked cowboy at like Times Square? It shouldn't be that crazy, right? I don't think so. Anyways, he got a lot of buzz because he was sitting like right behind home plate. So there's that. So that was just a little baseball knowledge. By the way, if you don't like baseball like my guy OC, it's time to get into it. I understand it can be long, but they've done things to shorten up the game. And playoffs, it's very riveting. So I encourage you all we might be staring down. It's not set in stone yet, but you're going to get one side of the United States versus the other side of the United States. It's looking very much like it's going to be Dodgers-Yankees, which for a baseball historian is going to be pretty incredible. All right, that was fun in the 40s and the 50s, and the final segment of the show is brought to you by Warner's Ineos Grenadier. Want to elevate your drive? Demo the all-new Ineos Grenadier today at Warner, located at the corner of 2400 South and 5600 West in West Valley. Browse online at WarnerIneosGrenadier.com. All right, Bryce, if you do even a smidge better than what I just did with that Grenadier read, then you will crush it. But tell the people why they should go visit you live at Smith's at 875 East 800 South in Salt Lake City. Thank you for joining me the whole show, my friend. Enjoy your BYU game and the Utah game mañana, and tell the people why they should come see it.
Absolutely. You could still enter to win this Pacifico cooler that we are giving away. It's up to $200 in value here at Smith's on 9th and 9th. You can come on in, get everything you need for your tailgate or your party that's going on tomorrow for the TCU and Utah game. Check them out. They've got fresh meat. Of course, they've got the cheese counter, seafood, rotisserie chicken, as well as the fresh-made products at the bakery. You can stop on in, grab drinks, water, bags of ice. It's all here, right here at Smith's on 9th and 9th. And as we get ready for the drive with Spence Checketts, make sure you stop by and say hello to Spence as he'll be live down at the Intermountain Snowmobile Expo at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. He's also going to have some prizes to be giving out and handing out to you if you go and stop by at the Snowmobile Expo at the Mountain America Center in Sandy. So check it out. We'll throw it over to Spence Checketts and the drive. That's coming up next right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Thanks, Zachariah. Have a good weekend, man.